Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Come on in, get comfortable. Tepid Goose is my name. I'm the host. We're here for another playthrough again on the BlunderSpeaker Show. Playthrough number 2 this time, and today we kick off the Adversary Series with the game against Sweden 6. Before we get started here, just a huge thank you to everybody who got involved off the back of the last episode. Of course, I posted up a poll to see which of the teams that we would end up playing on the day, and as you can probably make out on the table here below me, we've got Stone's Unyielding Defiance and Vengeance as a Burning Plague. So that was option 3. That was our wildcard option. Little over half of you all, I think there was over 50 votes, 52 votes, I think, at the time of recording. We are today 22nd of January. I believe it's a Wednesday evening here. 6 minutes past 10 in the evening, so it's a little bit late start today. You might be able to already hear my voice is my voice hasn't been great, to be honest. A little bit not well this week, so I'm gonna dial it back a little bit on the exuberance and the kind of getting all up excited and kind of psyched up for the show. I think today we're going to take it a little bit more chill. Hopefully that doesn't mean too slow, and we can go at a good pace, but I might find that my throat has been, is acting up a little bit, and it could well be I might even have to do this in 2 parts. So not 100% sure, but it's kind of middle of the week and the week is getting on. Need to get my recording done, so I have enough time for editing and all the rest before the episode drops on the weekend. So I said I'd kick it off tonight. We'll tip away, see how it goes. Hopefully I'll get the game done. But if it happens that the old throat is acting up, I might need to maybe do this in 2 parts. But I've got my trusty throat spray here, and I've got plenty of water, and hopefully that'll keep me going. So as we say, Sweden 6 is on the cards for today. Do a little bit of a quick run through. We'll go through it obviously on the next episode when we do the breakdown, but we'll just talk a little bit about what we expect to see in the game before we get started here. So Sweden don't have a loss condition, which is one thing to keep an eye on here, and I think that's probably the main reason actually that they're a little lower on the difficulty rating as far as the creators of the game are concerned, at least. Probably for me too, I would say, because they certainly play at least like a lot of the other Div 10s, but the fact that they don't have that loss condition, I think, just makes them that little bit easier. But certainly they're no pushover. They come out hard and they come out fast. You've got basically 3 sort of ravage related rules here. As you can see the little token on the board here, I like to use the tokens to remind me of what's going on as part of the sort of explore, build, ravage cycle here. So we've got 3 ravage related rules, which are level 1, 3 and 5. That's basically going to tell you if you're doing at least 6 damage to the land, you're going to add 2 blight. So that's something to look out for. Ravages of 5 or less will only deal 1, but anything 6 or over is going to deal 2. We are basically going to have our towns dealing 3 damage instead of 2, so they get a +1 on their damage, and cities deal 5 damage, so they're going to get a +2 on their damage. So that's kind of the key sort of identity, I would say, of Sweden, coming with the fine steel for tools and guns at level 3. And level 5 then is their mining rush, and again ravage related. If you deal blight as part of a ravage, you're going to have to go ahead and add a town to an adjacent land without any buildings. Yeah, that's something again to look out for. Nothing in the build, nothing in the explore, so they can be interrupted in terms of the explore build cycle. If you get there ahead of time and you kind of play a high tempo game, that can work quite well. But as I say, they come out with a high tempo themselves. They start the game with 4 buildings on the board. So you got 2 cities, 2 towns. And we're going to go ahead then for the royal backing, and we're going to flip this card and add a 5th as well. So we've got Stone, we've got Vengeance. I'm not going to really do a detailed deep dive. We'll talk obviously through the cards and their abilities as we go through the game. Very, very quick note about the boards that we have, because there's quite some interesting things happening with the boards. I'll take this moment to recommend and mention, and I will again mention it during the next episode. Red Revenge does a fantastic breakdown of Sweden, and I talked before about how I really enjoy his content and his strategic analysis episodes in particular. Does a really cool breakdown of Sweden and all of the boards. And Sweden, have some very interesting dynamics happening with their boards, and it just so happens that we've pulled board E and board C for this game. Board C, as you can see on the board here, we've got a building in all 4 terrain types. So at the very minimum, we will be hitting one city ravage as part of the first ravage, so they should double blight your big ravage coming in. And on the board E, there's something a little bit interesting happening here, where they have all of their buildings consolidated into. Let me just check that. No, okay, sorry. I was about to say, I thought this was one of the boards where you had two land types or 2 terrain types that miss on buildings, but actually no, you've only got one. So there you can see the sands is the explorer that has no buildings on it. So yeah, I was about to misstep there, about to hit a blunder, caught myself just before, but I think we're good to go here. We're starting in double mountains. That's the sort of setup with stone. You hit both the mountains. That just so happens on this board, and Vengeance just so happens to hit the 2 wetlands on his board. So a lot of blight obviously going on with these 2 spirits here. This is going to be the interesting wildcard game that I talked about, with a lot of the sort of blight dynamics going on. So let's see how all that shakes out. We've got our kind of cards laid out here. I've finally got my new webcam. I've got, the lights. I've got the rigging. I've got, all of the sort of stuff more or less set up as I want here. So you'll notice it's a little bit different from last time out. Got a lot closer to the table. It's still a little bit tricky. Clearly here, you're not going to pick up the absolute detail of all of these cards. So, again, I'll kind of talk through what I'm seeing in terms of events and everything else, but I'm pretty happy with how the board's laid out. Please do, if you've got any comments, feedback, insights, inputs, whatever it may be, hit me up in the comments down below. Would much appreciate it. And of course, if you're here for the first time, I always do give that little gentle reminder. Please do, hit the subscribe button, hit your like button, hit your share button, turn on the notifications so you get to the kind of notifications on the upcoming episodes and every time one drops. But much appreciated. Glad you're here. Great to have you. So let's get going on this, and we'll start off with the open explore, and it is on the mountains. So what we're going to do here is we're going to place our explorers. First thing we do, then we're going to do the royal backing. So it happens after all other explorers are placed, all other pieces, I believe it says, all other invaders, after adding all other invaders. So this does happen after the opening explorer. So then we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip this card, which is the sands. So that was the one we would have liked to have hit, because that would have avoided the building on the other side of the map. And what we have to do here is we have to add a town. So we'll pick up 2 towns right now, and we have to add a town on each board in the land, how is it worded here, with the fewest invaders. So here we have, on that side we've no choice, and on this side I'm going to go ahead and stick that in the land with the beast there, because clearly that's giving us a chance for a beast damage event at some point. So that's the setup on the board. Let's go ahead and have a look at what's happening for us here now, and kind of how we might go ahead and open with these spirits. Just looking, there's a drop of water on my card. Stone, should I say, not Earth, has a card that I don't love in their starting hand. One of their unique powers is not a bad one, I find, to get out and done and forgotten early in the game. You'll often actually, I find, forget this without even playing it. So I'm just looking right now. This is the Plough Shatters on rocky ground, by the way. Not a great card. Two energy to destroy a town or do some kind of damage to each buildings, which we're not going to be doing. But it will let me destroy a town, and that will solve this land for me right here if I just go ahead and destroy the town that appears after the build. So I think we're going to go ahead and play that on the first turn with Earth. We can think about what we're going to do with those cards after the fact. We will just go ahead then and before this ravages next turn, we're going to want to get another presence in there so that we can use our special rule on the ravage, or sorry, not a special rule, our innate. So we can do that either on this turn or the following turn. I like to open here, I think, with a power card, most likely. if I wasn't going to play this card, I would probably open with a major, look for a major, and just forget this right off the bat. But clearly I want to play this card, and I don't really want to forget any of the other 3 cards here. So it's either open with a minor or open with a gain energy. And I think in this case, I'll probably just open with a minor power. So I'll probably just open on this side of the board here, go from there, and then take 3 energy will be my most likely opening on this side. On the side of vengeance then, so we don't have the opportunity, sorry, no, we do, I was about to say something wrong. So I often find Fiery Vengeance is a card to just get done early, pick off an early explore, interrupt that build ravage cycle, as I say, and then kind of maybe forget this along the way if I'm going down the route of majors, which remains to be seen. I do like to pick off I do like to get a card game. G3 is often an opening that I like here with Vengeance, though I don't play them all that much, but I can't get over to this side of the island with a G3. I have to actually use a G2 if I want to get to this land with a Fiery Vengeance, which I do. I want to protect this this land and the Dahan, should I say. So I don't think I'm too worried. Town, City, or Blight. You know what? I can't actually do that right now. So unfortunately, I can't do what I wanted to do there, which is a pity. What I can potentially do is reverse the order of these two, in a sense. So what I was thinking there was, first of all, I can't G2 into this land because it doesn't have a town, a city, or a blight. So that's the first thing. What I can potentially do is use this Fiery Vengeance on this Explorer, and then potentially on Earth's side of things, use the Plow's Shatter to solve that land. So it's just kind of reversing the thing. So I think that's probably what I will do. It doesn't mean I need to get to range 1 here with this card, and this is only out of presence at range 1. So that would most likely mean I'm just going to go add that in there, and that gives me range in there, and that solves that land. And then on this side of things then with Vengeance, I don't actually have to go G2 anymore because I'm not getting over there anyway, and I may well just choose to go G3 instead, and I can potentially save Fiery Vengeance, potentially, and maybe just open with a Fetid Breath, for example, which can help me set up for maybe a Ravage Skip if I want a Ravage Skip in there, with the strike low next turn, or maybe I choose to do something and set up for the Plague Bears instead. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll choose which track I want to go down now in a moment. In the meantime, then I will G3 with both spirits. So I can put my cards here and here. I'll go ahead and start with Earth. So G3, I've got my minor power off the to the back of the playing area at the moment here. So there's 4 cards with Earth: Elemental Boon, Visions of a Fiery Doom, Carapace Land, and Confounding Mists. Not in love with Defend against Sweden on the whole, but it can work, clearly, because Defend is basically the best thing you can do in the game. So I would never write off Defend as a sort of a never do it, even when you're playing into what's probably the worst adversary to use Defend against. But it's here, you're talking about a 0-cost card that provides Earth and gives us a defend. It would let us set up a defend in here if we wanted to. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm already making a blunder. I'm already messing up here, guys. But what I had said already was I was going to use G2, and I was going to Fiery Vengeance in that land. But I've done this in the right order that I remembered. So on this, I can actually set up the Carapace land in that land if I want to, for next turn on the Ravage. So that gives me that option. Otherwise, we've got Elemental Boon, which is doing nothing for us. Visions of a Fiery Doom is okay, but it's not particularly exciting. It's an okay card. It's good for the likes of Shadows and some other spirits who use the elements better. And Confounding Mists is an okay card. What it does is, again, Defend's not ideal here, but what you can do with this card is when you add, use the the second half basically and allow invaders to be pushed. Again, element wise, it's not ideal, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and pick up the defend here, despite not being a lover of defend into this matchup. As I say, I think I'll go ahead and take it here. So that's gone. I'll just throw these off to the side up there, off out of shot. So that gives me an answer to this next turn, which is quite nice. So in that case, I don't actually have to Fiery Vengeance after all. Just looking and scanning very quickly here, if I'm thinking I'm saving Fiery Vengeance, I'm potentially saving it for, you know, if jungles explore, if wetlands explore. That gives me two options to solve lands on this side of the board. However, I will be probably mining rushing in this land, unless I stop it, and mining rush would have to go into that land. So that's already blocking off a lot of the board for me and sort of shutting down the Fiery Vengeance card very quickly already. So just something to be aware of there. Could potentially jump over and do it in here. So there's maybe options. In the meantime, do I want to solve that land over there or not? I think now that I have an answer in Carapace land, this gives me a defender 3 into this land, and that will be ravaging for 4. So it's a kind of a, I believe the term is under defended, which is, it's enough, but any bad event, you know, you can get edge case, and that will kind of be a disaster. But I'd still think I'm probably going to go ahead and do that, because otherwise the Carapace land may sit in my hand for quite a while without getting used, and I definitely don't want that to happen. So I think oh, you know what? I've just remembered the exact same problem as before. I can't go in there and I can't go in there. I'm making blunders all over the place. I'm not sure what I'm talking about here, but again, I can't jump over into that land for the exact same reason as I can't jump into that land with the Fiery Vengeance. So wasted about 30 seconds explaining sort of not going in there, and then I said I could go and do it there, which is just nonsense. I clearly can't do that. So that doesn't work at all. So in that case, I will G3, as I say, and not use the Fiery Vengeance, and we'll go ahead and look for a minor power here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's see if we pick up anything. There's a nice one, Flesh Rot Fever. That's going to give us the option to add disease to the board, which is quite nice. Drought destroys buildings, and it's not a bad card. It's actually, I quite like this card, but not really for here, given that we don't want to be adding a whole bunch of blight. And here there be monsters is also okay, but I think we've got a Flesh Rot Fever lined up pretty well, so we can go ahead and take that. Works well with our it works excellent basically with our cards in our hand and with our whole game plan. So the question is, do we want to play the 2 of those on turn 1? Putting the Feather Breath back in our hand because we can now replace it with Flesh Rot Fevers. The problem, so we could do that essentially if we hit, yeah, so we've lost Sands already. So what I'm going through right now in my mind is we've already know that this can't be Sands. If that had been a wetland card and we knew we were getting either jungle or Sands, this setup would be much better because I could do a Flesh Rot Fever plus a Plague Bears right away to, you know, either solve maybe this land or that land. But given that we know that only one of the explorers here, it'll be either jungle or wetland. This doesn't work into wetlands. So this would only work for this explorer down here. Is that good enough? No, it most likely isn't. So I'm just going to go ahead and play the Feathered Breath, Spreads Infection after all. Play that on the first turn and we save our better element cards for later on. So let's go ahead then and clean all of this up here. So that's going to give us 1. I'm going to go top track and take the energy from the top track. So that's going to actually give us 2 more. And then we can start looking to go down the bottom track. Vengeance is a pretty pretty energy hungry spirit, and it can look to mix some majors in along the way if it so pleases. So I think let's go ahead and start the ball rolling here. Let's place 2 on there. Let's put that in there. We've got a range 1 to go here. Now question is, do I want to skip that next turn? Or do I want to just place my presence in there, let it die, and just take the disease? I'm just thinking right now, for next turn, if I want to use Fiery Vengeance to pick off an explorer, it will be here if it explores jungles, or it will be here if it explores wetlands. So I'm already covered for this, and I'm covered at range 1 in there, so I think I'm okay to get on this side of the board. So I might start looking to move across and do something like move into there, maybe start getting across onto Earth's board quite quickly, and try to oh, do you know what, I just realized as well, might have been a good tiebreaker to consider. It's too late now, but I'm just realizing I'm not going to be able to get onto Earth's board, and I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose this disease. Would have liked to have saved that. Okay, well, anyway, it is what it is. So we're going to go ahead, I think, and just move to there and leave it at that. So we've got Earth is solving that, or Stone is solving that land, and this land, and Vengeance is solving nothing whatsoever, which is always good news. But it is what it is. Okay, that's it. That's the decision I'm making. So they're all slow. We've got no innate, so that's all fine. We obviously have to pay for this. That's 2. Let's get going. We'll flip an event for timing, for the fact that it has to go there. So that obviously won't be resolved. We'll go ahead then and we'll do the builds on this board. So we will build in here, build in here, build in here, and then this will get removed, which is a pity, so that'll go there. We'll need you probably pretty soon, and then we'll go ahead and we will explore, and it is in fact a wetland. Okay, so that's going to be solved then by what we said before, the Fiery Vengeance next turn, which is not the worst. Up here we go 1 1 1 and 1. Okay, now we've no escalation obviously because that's a stage 1 card, but the escalations will start coming next turn, and they'll start hurting pretty badly as well. One thing to be aware of obviously with Sweden 2 is that if you hit that kind of runner, or you hit kind of a couple of the same land types in a row quite quickly, it can start to hurt pretty bad. Right now on the board we're set up where a lot of our lands are at risk of an escalation, so that's something to be very aware of here. Not ideal, but it is what it is. So second main phase then, or I'm using a magic term, the slow phase here, we're going to go ahead and in here we're going to destroy you. So that's dead, and that's a fear. Next thing we're going to do, so we're done on your side, so Stone, you can forget your card up there and lose that energy. You're done. 2 choices now. Now what I'm looking at is either I can Fetid Breath into either of these 2 lands. We have that one solved, so that's a safe ravage, assuming there's no edge case. So what I can basically do is add the disease in either here or here, and use that to clear either to skip this ravage or to Plague Bearers. No, because I can't even Plague Bearers in there. I was thinking, could I Plague Bearers in there and then push but I won't because it's going to build a city. The other thing to be aware of here is I kind of have to skip this ravage because otherwise, as I said before, it's going to mining rush into that land. So that will actually undo the work I do with the fiery vengeance. So I'm going to have to go ahead and do that. So I'll add a disease in there and I'll generate 1 fear. Put this back in my hand. This is gone and we're on to the next turn. So I will have my discard pile for vengeance. Where's my discard pile for vengeance? You can go back here, I would say. Off out of shot. Okay, because I want to keep some space here, by the way. That was sort of the setup I was talking through a little bit at the start. I want to keep a little bit of space here and here for my cards, my sort of working piles, let's say, and then my sort of played cards then would go up in and around here. So I think we're ready to go for the second turn. So let's go ahead and think about our growth. So stone side, we're definitely playing that. And that means we're going to be defending 3 into this land. It's going to be attacking for 4, but we'll have a defend of 3, and hopefully that solves that land. So that will be that. I want a second card play. Clearly I'm going to be going along the top track here, and as I said before, I think a major power at this point is just the way to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with stone. I'm going to lock that in because that's what I'm definitely going to do. So let's do that before we do anything with vengeance. Let's look up here and start to search for a major power. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's hope to hit something good. I do get to, by the way, go major and minor, and I can do this in any order. So when I add a presence, I can basically go add a presence, then gain a power card. If I do it that way, I remove the presence first, then trigger, and I take the minor power, and then I can gain the major. So I can do this in any order I want, but I know I want to forget this Plow's Shatter, so I'm going to go ahead and look for the major first, and then search for a minor to potentially line up with the major and threshold the major if I need to. So we've got Tsunami, Infinite Vitality, Sweep into the Sea, and Mists of Oblivion. So it's not Mists, and it's probably not Sweep either. Sweep is pretty good, but it's not really our element, so there's nothing really going on with it. So we can lose that one. Infinite Vitality here clearly is a pretty excellent card. It has obviously, steeped in our elements with the four earth here, and we should be able to threshold that somewhat reliably. That obviously protects our Dahan. Dahan ignore damage and destruction effects. I don't know if that gets around. I don't think it does because it replaces. Yeah, so it doesn't get around the escalation, which is a little bit difficult, but it's still pretty good, and it gives us a nice option to be able to go and potentially defend other lands on this board here. So I think Infinite Vitality is the choice. Tsunami is certainly not bad, but the triple blue on that is going to prove pretty difficult to hit. If that was maybe a 3 earth and 2 water, I might consider taking Tsunami here because it's a powerful card, and it deals a lot of damage, but it's going to be tricky. It's going to be very tricky to threshold that, and otherwise it's just damage into a coastal land, so it clears a single land. But I think it's early enough in this game where we can think about the Infinite Vitality, use it obviously with the jagged shards here, and be able to move our stuff around, and I think that should work pretty well. So let's get rid of Tsunami, and the other 3, you go off to the side, you're forgotten about, and then I'm going to go ahead and take the Plow's Shatter, and I'll forget that card as well, so that's gone from the game. Infinite Vitality goes in our hand, and I'm pretty sure these are our 2 cards that we're playing this turn. Oh yeah, we obviously get to pick up a minor power as well, so let's go ahead and resolve the rest of that first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Call the Guard, another fantastic card here. Bat Scout, Unquenchable Flames, and Reaching Grasp. So Unquenchable Flames will allow us to add some more Badlands, which works well because we're a Badlands type spirit, and it lets us deal damage, which is good, and maybe not heal damage as well. The other one here is Call to Guard, which is clearly it's one of the best miners in the game, a very strong card. It lets us gather Dahan out of lands, which helps us potentially with the escalation. It also allows us to defend, or it can deal damage into lands. So the defend is probably where you'd want to be using that for, but I quite like the idea of Unquenchable Flames here, I have to say. It relies on 2 fire, which we only get one other card that gives us 2 fire, which is that one there, but it could be pretty good. Dealing a lot of damage potentially with that card, and pairing it up with the Plow's Shatter on Rocky Grounds, which is the other one in our hand, and that could be really nice. It's 1 versus 0 and 0. And certainly Call to Guard is the better card here. But you know what? Given that I've just drafted Infinite Vitality, I probably want Call to Guard here. Getting the hand into the right places is what I'm going to want to be doing, given that I just drafted a fantastic card, and Stone does a lot of reclaiming. Stone is kind of a reclaim loop type spirit, so reclaim, looping, Infinite Vitality, and Call to Guard can help me get to the hand where I need them to be able to protect during the Ravage. So I think the smart play here is Call to Guard. Even though I do quite like Unquenchable Flames, I'll go ahead and take Call to Guard in that spot. So that goes in my hand as well. And in this spot here, Carapace land will give me 4. I could do Call to Guard. That'll only be a defender 2, so that's not much good for us here. And I can then use Jagged Shards to start to protect from the escalation by moving some of our pieces around. So we know, as we said, we need to go in there because that's a bit to Ravage for 6, so I have to go in there because it's a bit to add 2 blight, so that will protect me in that spot there. Over on this, I need to gain my 3 energy, and those are 0 cost, which is quite nice. And in this spot here, I obviously have triggered the first level of our innate. Which will allow me to pay 2 to protect this land. I'll actually have to do it twice, so that will be paying 4, which is not great news, but it's one of them. So that's it on this side of the board. On Vengeance side of the board then, we know we want to play Fiery Vengeance, and we're going to play that into that land there, so we'll go ahead and mark that one as being solved. We also said we know we want to play Strike Low with Sudden Fevers, so that requires two card plays, and we also can see quite clearly here that if we go ahead and play this, then take from the bottom, that will unlock our fire, and it'll unlock this innate for us. So that seems like a pretty solid play. What we do then is we want to give ourselves the chance to deal 1 damage to a building at range 0. In here, doing it in here would at least let us kill the town. It's slow phase, and it doesn't do too much to advance our game, but it's something. I'm just looking, is there anywhere else where that might matter on the board? Not as such, is there? Not as such. Because as we know, the Blight is a Badlands for Vengeance. So we're solving 1 and we're solving 2. After that, we've got 1 damage at range 0 to a building. Just wondering whether I can combo this with the Badlands on the side of Earth here. No, not really, because we're going city and city on this side of the board. So putting it in there, you know, could be a little helpful, but not really. We're going to look to defend that one next turn, I think, with Stone anyway, by placing another presence at range 0 in that land and then defending that one. So we know we're solving that one next turn as well, so we can go ahead and mark that one too. This land up here is in a spot of bother, that's for sure. It's going to Ravage for a whole bunch. Now I could get over there with Vengeance, deal the 1 damage in there and kill that town, but it still leaves a city and an explorer. I think, just looking, Stubborn Solidity here is range 1. I was wondering, could I get up there and Stubborn Solidity in that land next turn? Fortunately I can't, because I'm stuck my range in here, and the next turn my range needs to go, or my presence needs to go in there. So I'm actually a little bit stuck here. I can't make my way across the board at all to get into there. Just wondering here. So clearly I have my turn almost planned, but it's where I place this presence with Vengeance, and it's going to matter. Infinite Vitality next turn for Stone. Yeah. it's range 1 from a sacred site, but it's not really doing anything for us. I'm just wondering whether I could range, infinite vitality in that land, for example, there. Next turn, if I was like pushing the hand in there and then using infinite vitality in there, but again, it's not really helping me because I'd have to make a sacred site in here anyway, so that doesn't really help either. So a little bit tricky in terms of how to go about the stone situation. They've got some good defensive tools, but they've already got this land defended and they're not getting over here clearly and helping that. So despite having nice defensive tools right now, we don't have a good plan to defend on this board with stone, which isn't great. But it is what it is. These two to hand are in trouble. And then this land over here is going to ravage. It's going to add 2 blight and it's going to do a blight cascade. So it's a pretty problematic ravage over in this spot. The one thing is it won't at least royal backing. It's the only one thing it won't do. But on this side of the board, we're going to have a royal backing situation as well. I'll probably let this ravage first, kill the town, and then royal backing in there because we were kind of already in that land. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure that I have a great spot for my situation with vengeance. So I think I just want to spread out anyway because I want to get on the side of the board with stone, I think. Okay, we'll just go over here and I think we'll go in that land there. I can have a shot at that land and I might be able to defend card next turn in that land. That's my hope. And then use my innate in there, so give myself a shot at defending that land. I think that's the best play right now. So that's a range 2 and a range 2, and I'm going to use my innate in that land. So that's the choice I'm making here. Does mean I'm likely to lose two pieces in 2 ravages, but that's, I think, okay. So let's go ahead and do that. We gained our energy on stone side, but we didn't on this side, so we're going to gain our 2, and we're going to go ahead and place those onto that board there. We have some fast powers, so as we said, we will defend for we have the extra defend, so we've got to defend a 6. People probably shouting at their screen when they saw that from before. For some reason I was thinking if it was a land with a beast, you get the extra +3, but no, that's not the case. So here I obviously have two words. So defend a 6 is perfect in there. That stops us being edge cased. Over here, we're going to go ahead and deal 1 damage in that land, destroy it, and we'll deal a fear as well. And we have to remove this presence from the game, so we'll put that over there. We'll also deal another fear, and we will stop the ravage in this land as well. So we can remove that. That's done. And then on the stone side, we'll just keep that as a reminder there for this land. So let's go ahead and flip the event. The event is urban development. During the next normal ravage, each city deals +2 damage. That isn't going to matter at all because this was already dealing 6 anyway, so no effect on that. Lingering plagues on each board, add a disease and then ignore disease during builds this invader phase. So yeah, that also counts towards Vengeance's ability. So when it would prevent a build, so in this case it ignores it. So I won't get any benefit from that, but that's okay. I can still use this to set up disease for where I'd like to do my innate in future, or one of the ravage skip cards, which are also pretty important as well. So let's look at where this might matter. Up in that land, if I don't find a solve for that land could become a problem, because it's going to go ravage, blight, cascade, and do all that kind of stuff, and then it's going to cascade out, and that could be a problem land for us. And it's going to be pretty tricky for Earth to find their way over there, at least in the next couple turns. So I think let's put a disease up in that land and give us a chance to get up there and maybe skip the ravage again in future if that's needed. And on the other side of the board here, where do I want to place my disease? I can... So in actual fact, I've just realized something. No. I nearly realised something, but then I didn't. I was thinking next turn I can use my cards with an animal on the track and gain a +1 damage for a disease. So I can go in the slow phase here, I can do 2 damage, and then next turn I can do 2 damage. I thought for some reason I could kill a city with this next turn, but I can't, so that doesn't quite work. Also, one thing to point out as well, I just remembered this, is that this power is done separately to invaders and Dahan. So if I want to use this up here, I'm actually going to kill a Dahan, which isn't... oh no, I can split them, so I can do 1 each because it's a spirit power. So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. 1 fear per land with invaders where Dahan outnumber buildings. So in this case here, that's 1, 2... Only 2. Okay, 2 fear. And we're done with urban development. Alrighty, no fear cards, so let's go ahead and do the ravage. This one is skipped. This is a safe ravage. That dies. Over here, this is defended 6, and we're going to kill that town, which is a fear. And then we're going to go ahead and spend our 4 to take these 2 blight from the box, rather than the card. So that's 1 and 2, and they're safe into that land with stone, but it will create a mining rush. And as I said, I think I'm going to just put that land back in there, and that should be okay. Then I will I'll go ahead and do the build. So we go safe here. Here we're going to let this build. Oh no, I have to let it build. So yeah, and I don't gain the fear for it because I would be cheating if I did. So we're going to build because of our event card that builds. And on the other side of the board, we have a build up here and a build over here. So lots of city ravages happening for us right now, and let's go ahead and flip the explore, and it is mountains again. Okay. Right. So we're going to have an escalation here. We go 1, 1, 1, and 1, and this is a problematic explore for us, I would say. So our escalation is going to trigger in this case, and that is going to get converted into a town, and that hurts us quite a bit. Okay, we can remove that defend, and we will move these along. So that's quite a painful explorer, I would say there. Second main, or again, I'm doing it again. It's a slow phase here. So we've got a couple of things at play. We want to get a second presence in there if we want to protect that presence, the first presence. That would let two blight come down and potentially have depending on how much energy we have next turn, that would let us, spend 4 again, basically, to do that. Now, what I also have going here is on this land, this is now going to ravage and add another 2 blight. And those 2 blight are going to massively outweigh what's going on with the blight situation in the land already. So it's going to be extremely difficult to protect these presents. I can, of course, use infinite vitality in that land when that ravages, and that would give us it wouldn't add the blight. But it's gonna, if we want to use infinite vitality, it's going to be very difficult to use infinite vitality as well as protect the Han and the land. I'm just thinking now, because I've obviously got a way now to move the Han here. Do I want to get the Han in here and pair the Han with infinite vitality to try clear that land? That land is going to ravage for 5, 6, 7, 10. And this gives the Han +4 health. So it's going to be pretty difficult to protect them, but I can protect them potentially with the stubborn solidity instead. So if I pair those 2 cards together with the Han and that land, that gives me some reasonable recourse, and it won't add any more blight in there, and it'll protect the presence already in the land. So I think that's important, and that's going to be on the following turn. So I think that's where I want to get the Han with this card, which of course would mean I need to get those to Han from there into there, and that I think should be pretty okay. Just wondering, is there anything I can do with the call to guard and do it the other way around? But there really isn't. The call to guard is just not, it's not doing it for us right now. It can pull the Han in, of course, but it's not doing anything particularly spectacular for us right now. It's starting to feel a little bit tricky, this game, and I'm just wondering how I'm going to go ahead and start to maneuver my way into it. Again, I've got on this side of the board, I've got my 1 damage here, my 2 damage here, and then on the following turn, then, as I say, with my two cards, I can hit my innate to deal potentially another some damage, but it's not stopping either of those problems. And I can't, as I say, get over with stone to use call to guard in that land next turn, which is where I'd like to be using it. It doesn't work. Not great. None of this is great news, but we have to try find our way around it. Again, I'm just thinking here, 1 damage. What I can do, I don't love this by any stretch of the imagination, but it's something. No, it isn't even. What I was thinking was I could potentially, on the next turn, use my G3, put another disease in there, and then use my innate to deal 3 damage, but I actually can't do that because this doesn't place a presence and a disease. It's a presence or a disease, and if I don't place a presence, I can't unlock my animal, so that actually doesn't work either. So we're talking about some tricky stuff going on here. Dealing 2 damage in here right now, it doesn't even prevent that from being a double blight ravage. And dealing 2, which is the other land I'm thinking about in here, it doesn't even stop a city build. So it doesn't really do anything in that land either. So I think I will go ahead and do what I said before, which is to kill that town in there. That generates me 1 fear. and kills that town. So this does deal damage to invaders and the hand, but I can deal 1 each in that case. So I'm dealing 1. I've obviously got a Badlands, which would impact the damage to the hand as well. But in this case, I can deal 1 each. I can deal it. I can do it inefficiently, I think is the word that they use. So I don't have to damage them efficiently if it's my powers. Just something to watch out for there. If it's one of the other powers, if it's an invader effect or it's an event or something like that, you would have to do it efficiently, and I would have to kill a hand there. But in that case, I don't. So let's go ahead and do that. Resolve that. We'll do the jagged shards that I mentioned here, and I think I will still push those in there. Question being, just thinking here now, I already know Call to Guard isn't doing anything for me on the next turn. So I'm wondering if instead I do Stubborn Solidity and Infinite Vitality next turn into this land, and then reclaim the following turn and do it again in this land. But in that case, I won't get to move to the hand twice. No. So I wouldn't get to move those to hand twice. Stubborn Solidity doesn't move the hand, right? No. So I only get 1 shot at this. So I think it's going to have to be this way. I don't love it, but it's going to have to be this way. So I'll push those in there. I will add a Badlands to that land, and I'll push those to hand back in that way. And that's going to be the end of my turn. We clean that up with stone. Put those over there. And on this side of things, we'll clean this up. So a little bit tricky here, challenging me. As I say, not the strongest spirits for me, Vengeance nor Stone. I don't play either of them all that much. Vengeance is fun, but Vengeance is terrible into 6/6 combos, which I mentioned I think before, and I've been playing a lot of recently. So I wasn't playing Vengeance. I tried them once or twice and they were absolutely awful. They can't win basically in a 6/6 combo. Their effects just don't scale well enough. Stone, on the other hand, his effects scale extremely well, and I think probably one of the best spirits in the game against 6/6 combos. But I haven't been playing him because I've been saving him for the hardest combos in my challenge. So I haven't been playing Stone in a very long time. So a little bit caught up here and a little bit off balance again. But I think we're going okay. So let's then come back here and look again. We said we had a plan more or less with Stone. I think I may need the energy though this time around. If I was to play, for example, just thinking here, if I Call to Guard now, I at least can pull that in there, which could mean something. Because it does mean something. It means that I'd avoid the escalation in that land. So that's one thing I can do. If I do that and I pull off the top track, that'll give me 4 + 3. That'll give me 7. And it would give me 2 earth tags. So I'd hit this in 8, and then I would place that presence in there, and then I'd have to spend that 4 again that we talked about before. I'd also be spending 2 in that land as well. 2 on that card, should I say. So I'll be spending a total of 6 energy this turn, which is not great news, but it's kind of the way it sort of has to play out. And this, by the way, you're seeing is a bit why the matchup is difficult for Stone. Certainly one of the best spirits in the game, but very tricky into this particular adversary for this exact reason, because it does double blight, and it's very difficult to manage double blight because they obviously outnumber your presence quite quickly, especially if you hit a back-to-back or sort of a, not back-to-back, but 2 out of 3 as I've hit here. So that's quite difficult. But, we digress and we continue playing on. So this at least would help prevent that escalation, which would be a problem. So it's not awful. And it gives me the extra energy. If I don't get the extra energy, I actually can't do the play and protect my presence in this land. So I kind of have to go ahead and do it that way. This would give me then a chance to go 2 damage in here, remove one of the blight, which would help me on the following turn to protect this energy or this presence, because I'd have to go again in this one, and I'd essentially have 3 sacred sites in this center of the board, which is kind of ugly and not very well set up, but sort of is what it is, because otherwise if I don't do it that way, I'm going to have a triple blight, a big cascade, and I'd like to kind of use this to keep that blight on the card if I can, and let some blight start happening on the other side of the board, which we know is going to happen. So that's my turn on this side. So that's going to be 4. I can line this up and I can just sort of go ahead and do it because I know what I need to do. It's going to be 4 plus another 3, so it's 3 from this ability, and it's 4 from here. So my 4 from here is going to be 2 on this card, and then the 3 and the 1 is going to go down for this ability down here once we hit our Ravage, and that is going to go in there. So that's that. And we know we sort of have those lands lined up and ready to go for the next couple of turns. So I think all of that is pretty okay. On the side of Vengeance then, we can go and search for our defend a 5 up in that corner, which is what we're looking for here. So let's go ahead and do that. That's going to pull off the top track. We know at the very minimum we could play these 2, and we can sort of hit that innate if we wanted to. But yeah, let's just take that for now as a guideline, and let's go ahead and look for we'll look for 1 energy, plus we'll go 2 more over here, and we're going to go digging for a question, major or minor. I think I'll look for a minor here and then potentially a major on the reclaim. Minor is obviously where a lot of the defend powers are. You can hit certainly some very good ones, but the thing is, looking, if I had 5 energy right now after doing these 3 things, I would probably go major. Because I like to give myself that 4 if I can. Sometimes you just got to dig and you got to look for something that costs 3, but 4 is kind of the sweet spot. And usually you'll find something decent in 4, but you kind of have to get a little luckier to hit something with the 3 cost. Despite the fact that there are a lot of fantastic majors for costing 3 or less. So I'll go minor one more time with all of that said. And then as I say on the reclaim, I may look for a major then. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're looking for that defend 5 if we can find it. Call to trade will help very much. Call to isolation is a very good card. It doesn't quite help us here. Devouring ants and shadows of the burning forest. So let's go ahead and show those options out here a little bit clearer, because we'll be playing one of them right now. Call to trade. Despite it not being any of our elements, it can solve this Ravage right now and stop 3 blight, which is pretty good. So I think that's got to be our play up there. Call to trade is an excellent card in general against Sweden. Ravage skips are just excellent against Sweden. So that can do some pretty fantastic work for us right now. So I think we've got to do that and stop 3 blight, because otherwise we're about to flip the blight card. We're going to go 3 down here and 3 up here, and that would flip the blight card. So this can stop us doing that. So yeah, Call to Isolation is an excellent card, but in this case we're going to go ahead and take the Call to Trade. Let's throw that away and we'll play Call to Trade in this case. And now, if we want to, we can still continue down our bottom track, because the animal isn't doing it for us right now, and it potentially does something for us on the reclaim, but not really. Flesh Rot Fever isn't doing it for us now either, because Jungle and Sands just aren't our jam. We've got Plague Bears, and I'm wondering what Plague Bears is doing for us. And I'm starting to think whether underplaying might be the play here. Plague Bearers, what does it do? Right now, almost nothing. Where it could help, so I'm just thinking what this Ravage might be here, and can Plague Bears do anything for us if that Ravage shows up, or if this Explorer shows up on a certain way, and it doesn't really solve any Explorers for us either, because if it's this land, you can push a couple of things out, but I won't even be there, so that won't work. It won't solve this land. That's gonna Ravage next turn, and we potentially want to reclaim and find our Ravage skip for this land next turn. The Plague Bearers itself, you know, now that I look at it, I should have almost thought that these cards weren't doing much in my hand, and this actually was a turn to dig for a major, because I was thinking I may underplay anyway. If I'd have thought about that longer, even though I found a good card, digging for a major might have been the right choice there, to just play one card this turn, and maybe look for the solve on that land. So I think I probably played that wrong. Despite finding a good card, I think I probably should have looked for a major there. I think. I'm just wondering, I was thinking there I might underplay, and then I have still the choice of these two cards next turn. You know, I could run down bottom track, play those, plus find another minor next turn or something like that. But that doesn't give me my Ravage skip back for this land. But that might still be okay. If I underplay them, put them back in my hand for a second. If I underplay here and I play, so that'll give me 1 plus the 2, so I've got 3 in the pool. And then if I go next turn and look for a major, I'll have 2, 3 more, and I'll have 6 energy next turn, and that'll give me that 4 sweet spot that I talked about, and I can go on the bottom track and play all 3 cards. So I think, despite the fact that that won't give me my Ravage skip back for this card, I think that's going to be our play here, and I just have to let that land go and get some disease and get some blight in that land. Yeah, I'm just looking here. So for example, that flesh rot fever, I could potentially look to add a disease in there, but if this explores in that land, that's already a mess. That land is already a mess, so getting the disease in there is not really helping. Oh, it's a tight call. It's a tight call. Yeah, I'm gonna take the path that I said. I'm gonna take the path that I said here, and try to get, I don't know, a little bit lucky somehow. I'm in trouble over here with explorers as well, in terms of the if that explores, it's an escalation. If that explores, it's an escalation. So I've got 2 potential bad hits for escalations here, and then I've also got the the wetlands, and if that hits, that's a problem because of this land. So I'm struggling on this side of the board, and I need a major, I think, to get me some sort of chance. So this is my best way to find a major, I believe, because it lets me go next turn, play the major by digging for it, and then reclaim and potentially playing it again. That's sort of a way back into this game for me here. So you know, you hear people talk a lot. I know I'm going on a little bit on this turn for a while, but I think it's an important spot to point out. The game's getting away from me a little bit on this side of the board, and I don't have a clear path with the cards that I have and the land types that have come up. I don't have a clear path. Like, reclaiming right now to stop this Ravage isn't progressing my game in any way. It's just sort of stalling, and stalling is not helping me because I'm not really progressing over here at all. I'm not really hitting my innate too well, and I don't really have a clear path forward. So I think giving myself a shot at a good major to get me back in the game might be really good here. So as I say, that's I think my best path to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I've gained my energy. I need to just place this presence, and it's at range 1. So we're solving this land, which we know, and that's fine. So let's go ahead and do that. This land over here, I'm going to lose a presence. It's going to blight cascade, and it's going to be all sorts of awful. I'm going to have to cascade into this land because we know that one's ravaging next turn, so that's also okay. So just wondering whether I add a presence in there, knowing that it's, you know, it's a mess. What I could potentially do on the following turn then, if I find a major that solves this land, it would be nice to solve it. I have a chance to make a sacred site in there if I need to. You know, some might be something in there with like sacred site at range 1 or something, and this gives me a shot to maybe make a sacred site in there. So that's probably not awful. And if all goes, you know, downhill and it goes, you know, totally against my plan, at least it can die and create me a disease. So you kind of want to be finding spots to do that clearly with vengeance. So I think that's not a bad placement for now. I think we're going to go ahead and move on and do our abilities here. So on this side of things, we said gather you in there, and then if the Han are present, I can either defend, which I don't need to, or after invaders are added or moved into the land, 1 damage to each. So I'll do the bottom half of that card, and we'll put a reminder in there for that. Put a reminder on that one, I think, as well. Then that's slow. This we already triggered. Then up here we can go, if terror level is 2 or lower, we have to gather a town, and in this case I'll gather out of here because we can still hit our disease, our beast damage in that one, and the first ravage in there becomes a build instead, so we know that's fine. Okay, so that's you, and I've no innates on this side of the board. That's okay. Let's go ahead and resolve our event. I'll stop and get a drink at this point as well. Throat is a little bit sore at this stage, but we'll carry on. We'll soldier through. Got a sparkling water. I'm a fiend for this stuff. I'm sure at least half of my fan base, if not more right now. Oh, jeez, I used the word fan base. Isn't that dreadful? If you're watching this, you are one of my fan base. Welcome and thank you for being here. But yeah, I'm sure at least half of you who are watching this right now are looking at that with disgust. And I was one of you. I spent most of my life absolutely despising sparkling water. Something changed for me. It's one of them weird things. The exact same thing happened with coriander for me as well, or cilantro for our friends in the US. That's one of them love or hate things, and I think sparkling water is kind of the same thing, love or hate. And for me, with both of those love or hate things, something changed in me later in life, and I swapped from absolutely hating it to absolutely loving it. So very strange. For all you out there, if you hate those things I just described, there's still hope for you yet. Anyway, new species spread. That's the card we've drawn here. So our new species, I can either let the invasive species bloom, or I can transmute the worst of the species. So top option gives for each board, discard the top minor power. If it's fast, add a blight to a land with buildings, and then after resolving this, I return this to the event deck under the top 2 cards, which we don't love to see. Otherwise, my cost for 4 energy per player, aided by Moon, which we have very little of. Do we have any over here? No, so I literally cannot pay for this unless I want to use my energy I'm saving for my major power, and that would let me generate some fear and add a beast on each board. So, I mean, technically, I can forget Garden Stony Land for 4 energy, and I could pay 1 plus 3, save my 4 energy here for the ravage that's about to come in, and then I'm broke over here. I don't have the Scarred and Stony Land, which I talked about, into that land, and then I'm also broke over here, which doesn't give me that major out that I was talking about, and it sets me back massively. So I just can't do that. It's just puts me too far behind if I do that. So I'm gonna have to let the bloody invasive species bloom on our island here right now. But before we do that, we'll quickly read the rest of the card to see if it matters. So new diseases. Okay, so on half of the boards rounding up, I get to add some disease, which is nice, into a land with both the Han and invaders, and deal 2 damage to the Han there. So that is not great. But I get to at least add on half of the boards. Okay, rounding up. So on one of my boards, I get to add a disease to a land with both the Han and invaders, and deal 2 damage to the Han there. So I can do it in here. Not in love with doing it in there. because we're going to use them to defend on the following turn. Could do it up here and just set myself up with quite a nice disease land up there if I need to go back and start attacking that land at some point. So that's not an awful shout up in that land, because we're also a bit to build up in there. I could also just do it here, kill that to hand right there and stop a potential escalation, which I think is probably what I'll end up doing. And then the last thing is each spirit with at least 2 among its lands gains 1 energy, and that is both of my spirits right now, which is good news. So we both gain an energy. If I work back to front, 1 and 1, so that's at least good news. That would give us a slightly bigger chance of using the second part of this ability, but I think in this case I think I'm just going to still have to just let this invasive species bloom. The one thing I can say as well is I potentially use infinite vitality to stop this in future, because this is going to come back in the future. So I can keep an eye on when that's going to be, and you'll actually see what I do with this. I actually end up put this into the deck face up, because I just couldn't be bothered trying to remember where it is. That's just one small thing that I don't have to remember. It's known information. So for me, when I have known information, I'll just put a face up in the deck so I can remember. And I am going to do the top one, as I say. So for each board, discard the top minor pair. Let's go left board first, and we'll flip this minor pair, and it is slow. Thankfully, I don't have to do that, so that's discarded. Second board, we'll look for another slow pair. We can do it a bit of good luck. No, okay, so on this board we have to do it. So we have to get a blight, and we have to add a blight to a land with buildings. And that's going to be, I think, in there. I could put it here, destroy my presence, and get a disease in there with that beast. The thing is, I'm losing this one already, so that's 1 less on that board. So you do start running out of presence with vengeance quite quickly, so I don't think I will do that. I'll put it down in there, and that also gives me a kind of a bad lands with my other things, so I could potentially attack that land, so I'll do that in there. After resolving this card, I'm going to return it to the event deck under the top 2 cards, but first I'm going to go on half of my boards, take my disease, I'm going to add it in there with Dahan and invaders, and 2 damage to Dahan, so I'll kill you, and that protects me from that escalation at least. So oh, interesting. Let me think about that again for a second. Could put it there. That kills one of my Dahan anyway, which is not ideal, but I can then use it to stop the build and solve that land, which might be better, because I don't have anything to actually solve that land next turn. So it opens me up here to a Sands Explorer, and I don't love that, especially because I'm about to put Blight in there. But I'm just thinking Carapace land is at range, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, no. If I reclaim, I'm just thinking here, those cards are off thing. They're in my reclaim pile. So I actually next turn I can reclaim using G1. That gives me a 3rd card play, and then I could play all 3 of those. Cost me 4 energy, and I'm going to have 2 left over to do the Blight trick in there. So I think that's what I do, and that would solve this land with Stubborn Solidity. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and take this over here and do what I said before. My Carapace land is forgotten. So you go, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep the two Dahan together, because having Dahan paired is better anyway. This would give me 2 single Dahan, which I already have one over here, and I don't really want that. So I'll go in there, and I'll do that. That's fine. And then this now goes under the top 2 cards. So that's 1, 2, and then it goes under there, and that's going to be okay. So we'll know when that's coming up in future. And then we'll go ahead and resolve our fear card. We have one only, and it is flee from dangerous lands. So push stuff, explore or a town from a land with Dahan, Badlands, or a wild. So we only have the option of Dahan in this case, so we can push stuff from lands with Dahan. So that's nice, actually. That gives us a solve there. So let's push you, and we'll push you in there, I guess. And then on the other side of the board, we can, if we wish, and we have to, on this side of the board, push something from a land with the hand. So either push something out of there, and I could maybe push over there. That's one thing I can do. Or I can push out of this land. It doesn't really matter, does it? No. So I think probably do this. Push you in there. Okay. Done. Let's go ahead and ravage. So we've got safe up here, this builds, and we're going to allow that build, so that generates a fear. Then we've got over here, we're going to spend our 4, which is 3 and 1, and we're going to take the 2 blight from the box, and those blight are safe. 1 and 2, sorry, those presents are safe, should I say. So that's that. It's 2 more Badlands if we ever get in there with vengeance. And then on this side of the board, we've got basically a triple blight. We're going to add 2 because of the ability 3, Sweden 3. Those 3 go in there. This gets destroyed. That goes there, and then we're going to place a disease for that, and then we also have to cascade, which adds 1 more, and then that goes in there. So we're hoping, I don't even know what we're hoping to explore. I guess we're hoping to explore jungle. That's probably the best explore for us after this. So then we go ahead now and we do build. We'll pick up our thing and we'll allow this build to happen here. So that's going to generate us another fear. Safe. Over here we build a city. And down here we build a town. We're going to explore, and we'd like to see jungles. It's sands, of course. We at least stopped the thing in there that I was talking about. So if we explore sands, we will go. So we avoided the escalation. So we go 1, 1, 1, where we've just added an extra bit, thing up there, and then 1 down here. So there's our explore. We don't hit an escalation, which is quite nice, and then we'll go ahead and move these all across, and we'll go to our slow phase. So we said already we need to go with this one in here. So that's going to go from range from a sacred site. So I'm going to put that blight back in the box. I'm going to generate 2 damage, which will kill a town. That's a fear, and then I'm going to add a Badlands in there. And that's quite okay. And then that's it from Stone's perspective. So those cards are all done. Energy is gone as well. And then on this side of the board we have no slow powers, so this is all gone as well. Okay. We know what we said we were going to do, so we're gaining a major on this side of the board with vengeance, so that's going to be a 1, and it's going to be 2 more, and we're looking for something sweet. We need something sweet because the game's getting away from us just a little bit, it feels like here. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on now. Come on, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Tigers hunting. There's blight everywhere. That's not going to help us. Fire and flood, that costs $1 million. We've got inspire the release of stolen lands. That's no blight either. And draw towards a consuming void. So this, unfortunately, is a swing and a miss. Just a little bit, I would say. But, oh, I was going to say, did we hit the threshold of Inspire? We didn't. So what does Inspire do? I haven't really used this card much. Gather up to 3 to hand. Remove up to 3 health worth of invaders per disease. Or per the hand. So that can be nice potentially in this land. And then if you have the threshold, you can target lands with blight. I think I have one card. Yeah, I've got one card that gives me a sun, and I've got a bunch that give me water, but it's hard to get them all in there together at the same time. It's a nice card. If you hit that threshold, it's beautiful. So if the hand are present, then you can remove blight from the target land, and you can remove a bunch of stuff from a land within one. So it's quite nice. But it would at least allow me to pull 3 to hand in there, and then remove 9 health worth of invaders. And if I'm about to build a city in here, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that actually does solve that land. That one card solves that land. Doesn't deal any fear for us, but it at least solves the land. It could also give us a shot at looping back and trying to find. Yeah, no, I was about to say, can I find a way to threshold that on the reclaim if I find a miner that works with it? But no, not really. Tiger's hunting. Now, what are you doing for us right now? It needs to be in a land without blight. So this one I can threshold a little easier. Actually, do I even have no, I can't even threshold that one either. It's easier at least to hit a threshold on the reclaim, but I've got blight everywhere. All of these lands are blighted. So what can I do with that right now? I can go add a beast, gather a beast, deal 2 damage in here, and then push the 2 beasts somewhere else, and then do nothing. Fire and Flood. I won't be able to play it now, but I could reclaim it and play it, which might be something. Probably the same thing for Draw Towards a Consuming Void. So right now, with these 4 cards, so I've got 1 plus 2 plus these 4. God. Just not a lot going for me here. This is a pretty bad pull. Fire and Flood, at least I'm thinking on the reclaim. Next turn I can reclaim and just play these 3 cards essentially. Yeah, they're my only cards with that would give me the both thresholds on that. So it wouldn't be great now, and it won't be great until the slow turn next turn, at which point I'd need a sacred site. So I could set that up clearly here with my presence placement. So if I place a presence somewhere right now to set up a sacred site, probably either here or here, then that gives me a range 1 and a range 2, and it gives me, like, for example, deal 8. I could solve that land, plus I could solve maybe another land there. It would let me deal 8 damage in 2 lands, which isn't awful. 2, 4, 6, 7. Alternatively, I can just play Fire and Flood rather than these 2. And it lets me deal 4 damage in 2 lands, which would let me do what? Could I solve this? 4 damage plus 1 is 5 damage, so that would actually solve that land. Well, it would solve either land, right? So 5 down, because they're bad lands, it would let me solve one of those lands. It would let me solve both of those lands, wouldn't it? 2 target lands. If I put my sacred site in here or here, it wouldn't matter. I could go 4 in there and 4 in there, and that would each be 5 because they're bad lands. 5 damage in both of those lands would be town plus city, town plus city. Yeah, we're good. We got there. So both of those go into back into my hand. All of this goes away. So So that gets thrown away. We got there in the end. Again, I'm sure there's been plenty of people at home shouting through the screen and going, "Hey, serious, what are you doing?" But again, I'm not, give me a chance. My throat's not great today. I'm feeling a little bit slow, so I gotta forget something on that one, by the way, as well. I think in my first video, when I was totally off balance, there was a turn where, or at least one turn where I forgot to forget something with a major. What I'm doing in this case is I'm throwing away a card. Call to trade is probably still going to be useful in this game, as we've seen before. So we're picking up some damage now, so that'll let me build up and deal the damage. So call to trade is probably still okay to keep. Fiery Vengeance, not great card, but once we start to make a mess on the board, that can maybe start to deal some damage. We probably want to keep our Ravage Skip. In this case, it's going to be either Fetid Breath or one of the cards in my hand. Flesh Rot Fever is the cheaper alternative, but it only goes in 2 land types. It also gives me my elements for this innate, so I think it is Fetid Breath. It's just an expensive card, so we're going to go ahead and throw Fetid Breath away. We'll keep the other ones, and we're going to play Fire and Flood. So we had 4. Hold on, have I cheated here? No, I said on the previous turn, didn't I? I said I'd have 6, which would let me play 1/2 plus a 4-cost major. That's what I said on the previous turn, yeah. And then we gained a bonus energy off the event. So I did have 7. I thought maybe I'd added too much energy, but I didn't. So there we go. That's our 7. And I have mentioned on the Reddit on more than one occasion, I really like this card. It's not a very good card. It's I don't know, what can I say about Fire and Flood? It's a fun card and it's a powerful card, but it's not a good card. It has a lot of power packed in, but clearly paying 7 for that is a tough pill to swallow. So I'm just wondering in this case now which track I take from. Because again, I might not want to reclaim next turn. I can always go to 3 plays next turn if I want. If I take the animal here, that lets me go to 3 energy next turn and potentially, no. Yeah, I mean, just thinking because I have Fire and Flood now, that's put me much more likely to go down top track. I think I am going to go top track here, and I'll go for this, and then I want a Sacred Site. I can put it here or here. They both work. But this gives me a better chance of getting onto that side of the board with my Fire and Flood. So yeah, because here I can still range 2 into that land. So this gives me range 2 in here and here. So that's good to go. I'm going to put it here. That's our turn for Vengeance, and then our turn for Stone. I think we had said it before. We probably wanted to do the reclaim, pick up. Oh, we didn't need to reclaim now because we don't need to solve that land. So that actually isn't potentially something we need to do right now. So I might skip reclaiming and I might just look for another card. So what we're going here is, if I go gain a minor, or gain a card, doesn't necessarily have to be a minor, take from the top track. That gives me 4 plus these 2, so it gives me 6 energy. And what I need to be doing right now is paying 4 energy in there, don't I? Yeah. Unless I go, no. I was going to say if I go bottom track, I gain a single earth, but that doesn't help me. I could... Alternatively, if I go here, that gains me 2 energy because it gives me 2 earth, and it gives me a shot at, I can move this up to 4, and that also gives me my infinite vitality. What am I talking about? Yeah, we got there again. It's taken me a while, guys. I'm so sorry, but yeah, we got there. So infinite vitality with the 2 earth is where we need to be. So that's reclaim, gain all of these. I'm still going to go here with the presence, of course, and that is going to give me a shot at a minor power. So I'll go ahead and take my minor power first of all and see what that gives me. 1, 2, 3, 4. and that gives me fire in the sky. Sky stretches, which we love to see. Like calls to like, and gift to twin days. So sky stretches to shore is a fantastic card because we've already picked up our big power, slow power. Our high damage slow power, so sky stretches and fire flood is a way for us to win this game. That's our win condition. We've got our win condition locked up right now, so all we need to do right now is play safe with infinite vitality, keep the board as clean as we can with our other sort of defensive type plays, and then this paired with this is the way for us to win this game. So we're good to go. That goes into our hand. We pick all of the rest of this back up, and then we have our path to victory, which is good news. So these are going out here. We gain our 4 energy, which is 3 + 1, and that's going excuse me, that's going straight onto those 2 cards, because we said here that we wanted to protect these. So again, we're going for, we don't need to defend this land, but we know that it's going to be 5 + 3 is 8, 9, 10. So basically, we can either stubborn solidity to protect the Dahan in the land, but we also could, in theory, play Carapace land, which defends 6. A defend of 6 in this land means that they'd only ravage through for 4, and then Dahan have +4 health. So this would also protect the Dahan. So I have 2 choices basically to play into this land. The question, I guess, is which one would I rather keep in my hand? We don't, by the way, need to play sky stretches on this turn because we're not solving this land with the fast fire and flood. So sky stretcher stays in our hand. That's fine. After that, call to guard is not doing enough in this land, so that one's not being played either. So then it's a matter of which one of these 2 do we play together with probably Scarred and Stony land. No, in actual fact, we probably want to play Jagged Shards to get those Dahan into that land and start thinking about protecting that land next turn, which we can do with infinite vitality and probably just reclaim loop. So we want to play the Jagged Shards, we want to play the infinite vitality, and then it's either stubborn solidity or it's Carapace land. And given that I'm reclaiming, I'm going to go ahead and take that back, play the cheaper card, and then next turn we're going to just reclaim an infinite vitality in there from our sacred site. Oh, ouch. Just realised the error of my ways. I can't Jagged Shards those because I can't reach them. So, the question becomes, do I go at range and let this go? So I get over and pull those in? No, because I can push those Dahan in there, so that's nonsense, so forget that. So this goes in here. The Carapace land is going to go in here, and the Jagged Shards is going to push those in there instead of those, so that's all fine. That one's clearly gone from before. And then, so this is our turn, this turn for 3. We keep 3 in the bank, and we only need to spend 2 this turn because of hitting this innate. We also, by the way, have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have this, which is lovely, which is going to take a big hit in here, but it's going to clear out a bunch of that as well. It's going to clear basically the whole land, so that's going to be really nice. That's the first time we've seen our let them break themselves against the stone ability come into play, and it's going to be beautiful here. So I think we're well lined up, and we'll keep all of that back. Don't need to play any of that. This is our turn, so let's go ahead and start resolving powers. This is slow, and we've nothing else fast on this turn. We've placed all our energy, or we've placed our presence, should I say. This we're going to trigger in this land, in the middle there. We even have a Badlands, which is lovely. And then we have the innate as well. So this one goes ahead and defends a 6 in there. This one is going to go ahead and put that that trigger in there, which will also potentially protect us from a couple of edge cases in case those come up, which could be quite nice too. And other than that, we're going to move and hit our event. And I'm going to take a drink of water, and it's Years a Little Rain. And that could be nice. And by could be nice, I mean it's amazing. Most people will know Years of Little Rain, if you play this game, as probably the best or most favourable event in the deck. Numinous Crisis can be very favourable in certain spots as well. Problematically favourable, but this is kind of well known. So we'll certainly be looking to trigger this. So a terrible drought parches the land, as I took a nice big drink. What I will be doing is playing the bottom act of this to ease the drought. Cost 4 energy per player, aided by water. I have 1 water in play right now, so I'm going to have to pay 7 energy to be able to afford this, and it's going to basically give me a proliferate for both spirits by adding into a land with Dahan. We both have a land with Dahan, thankfully. There's loads of them out there, so that's great news. And we're going to do that in a second, but let's just read the rest of the card first. So each beast deals 2 damage. Remove any token that destroys a building. So over here, I think I'll just go ahead and kill that. Yeah. And that's going to give me a fear, and it's going to remove that. And on this side of the board, I'll deal 2 damage in there, and that's fine. And then the next one is during Ravage, in every land, defend 1 per Dahan in the land, and that won't matter at all in this case. It'll give us a defend more. Actually, it would have stopped any blight coming in this land, which is kind of funny, but we already had it protected anyway. And I forgot. I had the threshold, and then I get to remove 1 from target or adjacent land. So let's not forget to do the nice ability on our card. So remove that, and that's going to go back on the card, clearly not the box. So that is nice. Yeah, what am I talking about? Dahan ignore damage and destruction effects. Damage and destruction effect. I didn't even need the card paste land. What am I talking about, guys? I'm all over the place here. It's not been a super clean one for me here. So obviously I didn't even need the card paste land in there, but we've gone too far. Let's just assume I defended. In that case, I can just defend for 6 in here. Yeah, that's way better. So then I would have had what? 5, 8, 9, 10, defend a 6, so it's only going to add one thing in there. And that would have actually allowed me to, rather than having to put a double presence for a sacred site in that land, I actually would have been allowed to move up there, and I could have got those Dahan out of there and put a Badlands in there, which is what I would have wanted to do with this card. So that sort of cleans all of that up. I don't have to defend in this land, so put a defend a 6 in there. That would have given me protection from edge cases, wouldn't it? Because it was attack for 5, 8, 9, 10, defend a 6, so 4 gets through, and I'm allowed a +1 edge case, but +2 edge cases do exist in the game. Now, you know what? I'm going to add the second one in there. We won't extra cheat. I will put the defend a 6 in here, and because that's clearly what I would have done, but I would have still put the extra one in just in case I hit the edge case, and we don't want a disaster here by putting 2 blight. So I'll just leave it there. We'll play it as we did, but I just put a 6 in there. It's not actually going to matter. Nothing will actually change here. So let's go up and resolve the Years a Little Rain. So I'm going to need to pitch some cards, most likely. So I can pitch Call to Trade, or I can pitch some of these cards in my hand to generate the energy necessary. I need to basically dump 2 cards here to make 8 energy. I could also pay 3, but in this case I'm going to have to pay 1 for this. That leaves me with 2. And then I would have to, in that case, I could just discard some cards as well. So I need to pay 7. That could be 2. I could go... discard a card for 2. That would be putting me on a reclaim loop back with Vengeance, which is okay. It's not the end of the world. So I could end up on a reclaim loop back there, and then I could just discard one of these cards and pitch another one, which might be where we end up. I also have Sky Stretches over here, which I'm not forgetting, but I don't want to pitch that because that could be really important with the Fire and Flood. So I'm not doing that. Well, it's in my hand, isn't it? So I can discard it. I don't have to pitch it, but I can discard it because I'm not going to need Sky Stretches next turn. So yeah, let's discard Sky Stretches. That's 2 energy. That goes over there. That's 2. We pay the 2, we pay 1. So yeah, this one is going down here for this. I could potentially pay 1, so that's the 3, and then at that point then, if I just go discard, that puts me back reclaiming with Vengeance. And if I don't do that, I can just pitch the Call to Trade out of my hand. Which works until when? It works until terror level 2 or lower. Yeah, so for most of the rest of the game, that's a skip. And it can be used to skip up here. But I think we're on the offensive just a little bit here right now. So I actually think I'm going to go ahead and pitch Call to Trade. Might regret that. We have enough defensive solidity over here with Stone that I'm going to go ahead and pitch Call to Trade. So that's 4. I'll pay 1 and then I'll discard Sky Stretches. So that's 7 total. And plus the 1 here, which is 8. And now we both get to add 1 to one of our lands with the hand. So I will, on this side of the board, put 1 in a land with the hand, which is in here. And then on Vengeance's side, I get to also add 1 in here or up here, which I'll probably end up doing because I don't need 2 Sacred Sites down here. So in this case, I will add from top track because that gives me a shot at getting to 4 energy next turn if I need it. So you go in there. Here's a Little Rain is resolved, and that worked out really, really well. Okay, we resolved the rest of that card. Obviously, we went from kind of bottom to top, so that's good. Don't have an Earned Fear card, that's fine. Let's go ahead into Ravages here. So on this side of the board, that's going to Ravage for 2, and it's going to flip the Blight card. Not in love with that, but it is what it is. Ravage 2, this dies, and then that generates a fear for us, or that generates a disease for us. And that's going to flip the Blight card. But, you know, we'll do the other Ravages first. As I said in the previous video, I'll always do the safe Ravages first before I flip this Blight card because I don't want anything happening over there. So, safe Ravage over here first. We know that that's Dahan and nothing's taking damage there. So, we've got 6 and there's no Blight being added either. So, we're attacking back for 6 and that'll be 3, 5, 6. So, that's going to generate us 3 fear. So there, done. Over here, we said it defended for 6, so it's attacking in for 10, I think we said. So we will pay the 1 necessary to take that from the box. And that goes in there, and that protects everybody's presence. It also protects Vengeance's presence, which is nice. And then we will now resolve this and flip the Blight card, which is Blight corrodes the spirit. Each invader phase on each board destroy a presence in a land with Blight, and that is not really great news. So we are getting down towards this ability, which can help us on this card, which could work. So, but it's each invader phase, and that's at the start of the invader phase. So it doesn't happen right now. It happens starting next turn, I hope. Each invader phase, yeah, that's a thing, because usually it says now and each invader phase if it's something you have to do right away. So that starts next turn, and we put 4 Blight in the card, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 more. 1, 2, 3. That's going to be 8 Blight total. We've resolved all our Ravages in this case. We added our disease, and now we'll go ahead and do the build. Over here we build, and we'll generate a fear. That's a city. Then we'll build up here. That's another fear, and that's a town. Over here we'll build a city. and we will build a town. That's removed. All the build is done. Now we go no, we don't. We forgot mining rush. Let's not forget mining rush. We would on this side of the board, we would have mining rushed in, not in that land, but in this land. And here we had 3 choices. Clearly we would not be mining rushing into the land that just did a just about to build. So we'll mining rush into the land with a Badlands. Why not? And then on the other side of the board here, we had no option. We had 1, 2, 3 lands that had buildings, so we would have had to mining rush in there. So apologies on that one, folks. So there's our mining rush resolved, and our explore is wetlands, and that is going to cause us, that mining rush is going to cause us an escalation here. We're also going to escalate here, so not ideal by any stretch. Let's go ahead and do our explore. We're not in love with hitting wetlands here, folks, I have to say. Not in love with it, but I guess it is what it is. So we go 1, 1, 1, and 1. Now we escalate. In here, this gets replaced by a town. Would have been nice to hit jungles at some point, wouldn't it? But, you know, here we go. That gets replaced with a town, and that gets replaced with a town. And now we move to the slow phase. In the slow phase, we go ahead and we do what we said before, which is to set up for the ravage in their next turn. Question mark? Yeah. Oh, we never did this, by the way. Sorry. So dealing half the damage the invaders did, plus, so in this land, it would have dealt 2 damage plus half the damage the invaders did to the land. Oh, Jesus. So I defended in that land, which was a mistake, but it prevented the extra blight. So I suppose we still would have done that, wouldn't we? Yeah. So in that case, it would have been, it ravaged for 4. So it dealt, so we deal 2 damage, and then we also deal half the damage they did to the land, which is another 2, because 2 is half of 4, so it would have been 5 damage in that land, and that would have killed both of those buildings, which is 3 more fear. Throat is a bit at me here, guys. I'm going to go and hit the meds. Excuse me on that one. Hope you're bearing with me here, folks. I'm kind of falling apart just a little bit, but we're fighting through. So, add a Badlands and push 2 to hand from there. And we push you in there for now. I think that's what we said we were doing there. And on this side of the board, then we're going fire and flood, and it almost certainly has to be into those 2 lands. Don't love the fact that I've got such problems with these other 2 lands, but kind of we need to take one thing at a time. I can go fire and flood now, do something else, allow these lands to build, and then potentially threshold the fire and flood the following turn. I think that has to be our play with this guy stretches fast. So I think that has to be the play. So right now it's 5 into each of these 2 lands. So it's 5 in there and 5 in there. And that's another 2, 4, 5, 6 fear. So that's 3, 1 down, and then 3 more. So we're nearly at the next fear card. We're 5 fear away from terror level 2, should I say. So we're almost there. We'd like to hit that terror level 2 if we can, but we can't. I don't think we are going to hit it for these in time for these to resolve. So it's a bit of a pity, but sort of is what it is. Those all go away up here. Energy goes away. And then we think on this side of the board, I think we said already, we need to reclaim and do the infinite vitality game. So that's a reclaim on stone. Did we... Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking, I forgot about Years of Little Rain. No, ignore me. I'm getting confused, but it's okay. So on Stone's side of the board, we're going to reclaim and go from top track, I think, question mark, to, so again, we're probably more or less playing a similar type of turn. So that's going to be thresholded, which goes in there, and it allows us to remove a blight from whichever land, which is fine. Probably this one, I guess. And then in the second main, I'm just wondering, can we get over and carapace land or infinite vitality into that land on the following turn? How do we go ahead and do that? We'd need to go mountain or land with your presence. So we actually can't. On a reclaim, we can't get up there. So that land is going to go. So we need a way for us. Oh yeah, we said in the previous turn that was the wrong land. We said we were putting that up there because we didn't need a sacred site down right next door to that one, because we've already got this side of the board covered with fire and flood. So even though that's right in the corner, we did say we would do that. Might not make a difference here, but still. So infinite vitality. Mountain or land with your presence. We need the infinite vitality. We don't need the sky stretches. Carapace land is yeah, I think really just what we're going to do is just use our infinite vitality in there next turn. So we'll just use the jagged shards again to push those in here. So that's those two. We're also, I think we said, going from there most likely and gaining another minor power. So that's probably from there, and that gives us the extra card play. So let's go ahead and look for a minor power. 1, 2, 3, 4. Screen disease, domesticated animals, sunset fire, and lands of haunt and embers. Domesticated animals with a defender 5 might be helpful. We might not need any more defend really in this game is the question. Giving me range plus also allowing me to put a disease out could be useful. Not 100% sure which one of these I'm going to want. Lands of Haunt and Embers, does that help us? Could just land a Haunt and Embers in there. Push that out and solve that land. Not terrible. Let's do that this turn. It's a kind of a freebie. It adds a blight, but it sort of solves a blight problem on the following turn. So it's probably not awful. Might go ahead and do that. On this side of the board, while we're thinking about that, on this side of the board, we've got Vengeance, and we are, let's get a drink for a moment here. What are we looking time-wise? Oh, coming up on 2 hours. That's another longish one, guys. My brain's a little bit slow, but yeah, I think playing and commentating is a lot slower than playing. Let me put it that way. A lot slower than I was imagining these games would go, generally speaking. Of course, having to talk through everything definitely slows me down. But yeah, we'll see if we can get used to that over time. So let's see here. We have on this side, so I'm thinking about next turn. That's what I'm trying to set up right now. So between now and next turn, we definitely do, of course, want to reclaim and get this fire and flood back in our hand. And because these lands are so built up now, the 5 is not going to do it. So we're going to need to hit that threshold if we can. The only way to hit the threshold is to play these 3 cards, which are Plague Bearers, Flesh Rot Fever, and Fire and Flood. If I do the 3 of them together, I hit the threshold of this. So that's not this turn, but next turn. So how do I do that? So I need 9 energy next turn to be able to do that. So how do I do it? Can I go play this plus this and maybe go top track now? No, I need 3 card plays, so I can't go top track now. So I basically need to go either reclaim now and then do it the following turn, or play these now and then reclaim and play it the following turn. So I'm not going to get to go top track again, so let's just count up the maths here. So basically I need what I said, 9. Not this coming turn, but the following turn I need 9 energy. The reclaim plus the top track will give me 4 of that energy, so I need 5 energy going into next turn. Is that what we're saying here? 5 energy going into next turn. And if I do these 2 now with the G3, that gives me 3, 4. So even if I just do this now and then next turn as well, I can't do it. Is that where we're at? So let's try this a different way. If I G2 now and take off both of them, that gives me 4. But yeah, I mean, I end up playing both of these cards. I only save 2 energy. And then the following turn I gain 5 more, which puts me up to 7. It's nowhere near enough. So I would have to either underplay and just totally skip my situation, or can I reclaim? So if I reclaim now, do I have 0 cost cards to play? I have 1 single 0 cost card to play. Reclaim and play just Fiery Vengeance. That seems like a disaster. That's there. I'm not sure I can line this up. So I might need to get lucky on a gain of power at some point here. But even still, take a whole turn off just to solve that lane next turn. I mean, what am I guess I'm not really doing much, am I? If I just go G2 and just don't play anything, is that really what I'm doing here? That gains me 4, and then I reclaim, and then I go to 9. So I basically just skip my whole turn, underplay outrageously, do a kind of a lightning turn 1, place 2 presents, and just do nothing. Can that possibly be correct? That's a ballsy move if that's what I'm going to end up doing. If I reverse this and do it the other way around, I at least get to go reclaim first, look for a minor. If I find a 0 cost minor, yeah, no, actually that doesn't work, does it? Because I need to gain 4 on this turn and 4 on the next turn for that to work. Yeah, because if I reclaim now, I gain 4. Even if I find another 0 cost minor, play them both, keep 4 in the pool, and then the following turn, I can only get to 4 energy here. I could G3 to get me the last energy, but I can't G3 from top track because I have to get 3 card plays. So the only way I can actually do this and threshold the Fire and Flood next turn is if I G2 now, do nothing, and then reclaim. You know what, I think I'm going to do it. Because it's a pretty big play. Fire and Flood is a pretty big one. It's my sort of last chance at the card really in the game, most likely. I might get one more later to maybe get that last grasp winning play. But right now, look at that land. Blight, Cascade. one single ravage in that land gives me all kinds of damage. But I'm just looking at it. I actually have 3 bad lands in that land. So if I go stop the build, 4 damage would be enough. I don't have to hit the second threshold on this card. So the plot thickens. I don't actually have to hit both thresholds on this land. That actually could solve that land with just the 4 damage, right? Because that would be 7. 3, 5, 6, 7. So if I remove one of them and stop that build, then I only have to hit 1 threshold on Fire and Flood, and I can do that with Fiery Vengeance and one of these 1-cost cards. So now my requirements actually drop slightly, and they drop to only needing 8 energy next turn. So what I can do in that case is G2 this turn and get away with playing one of these cards, which is nice. And what does that do for me? It could help in this land a little, somehow. I also, if I don't play one of these cards right now, I have a chance to, instead of Fiery Vengeance, to draw a... Oh, no, actually, I just have it with those 2 cards, don't I? So if I don't play them... Sorry, this is taking forever here, but I'm just trying to figure it out. If I don't play these on this turn, I can reclaim on the next turn. So still do this G2, play nothing, reclaim, and play Strike Low and Fire and Flood. And that gives me 1 of my thresholds on Fire and Flood. Yeah, I was talking before about needing Fire Vengeance. I, of course, don't need it. I have a fire card on my thing. So that would give me 1 of those thresholds that I need. So I don't need the blue cards at all. This is my 9 next turn, and that lets me solve that Ravage. So I can skip that Ravage next turn, and that is what I'm going to do. So I got there eventually. It's taken me all evening to find the lines here, guys, but I got there eventually. This is a slightly obscure line, but I won't play anything. I'm G2, and I'm playing nothing. So this is an oddball type of a play, and I don't know whether it's going to pay off, but we're going to try. So I'm going to place some presence, and I'm going to gain 4 energy. 3 + 1. These have to go in a land with a town, a city, or blight. We've got 2 up there. We've got that one in there. I think we just want to go back into these lands anyway. Potentially, we want to go in there for sure. That'll help us later on with maybe using our range 0 from that. We're going to clear this land out entirely, so we don't have to care about that one. Our Fire and Flood next turn can go 8 in there, which will clear that. 4 in there, which will clear that. This one is okay. So then other than that, we said what? That we're going to clear, that we're going to clear. We've already got a Sacred Site over there. So maybe we go on that land. We're about to solve that land with lands in Haunted Embers, aren't we? Do we want to just destroy this and put a disease in there? Let this get destroyed? Is that worth it? So we'd go Sacred Site over here. We'd have 1 more in here, and then on this side of the board we'd have reasonable-ish coverage to cover our lands. This just gives us 1 more shot at a disease, which could solve that land for us later. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we took our lands of Haunted Embers. We got there eventually, guys. Sorry about this one now. That's a little bit of a slow growth phase, but I think I got there eventually. We take the lands of Haunted Embers. Infinite Vitality, Jagged Shards, Land of Haunts and Embers, and we need one more card here. And so far we've hit 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to hit one more Earth, which all the rest of our cards are. We're of course going to gain 6. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our 3 goes up there. They're both free. That'll give us 4 in the bank. And are we using any of it now? No. So what we're looking to do potentially is, can we Scarred and Stony land somewhere interesting? Potentially in there. It kills a building and it removes a blight, which is not nothing. And right now we're going to, we're not going to have any mining rush, unless of course there's an event which hurts us. So okay, I think we got there. So that's that. We're doing nothing on this side, so we're banking that 4, and on this side we've got this, which actually doesn't do anything for us, and we've got this. But the one thing we did say was we would have liked to have hit the blight card ability. So that would mean not playing Lands of Haunts and Embers, but otherwise what am I doing? Call to Guard in there? That doesn't do much for us, does it? Call to Guard plus, so if I take these 2 away for a second, and I play Call to Guard, and I play Stubborn Solidity. What does that do? That doesn't do anything, does it? No. It blights into the land. It would kill the building. But it would give us, importantly, this. That's what I'm thinking about. And if I do that, then I can now start paying 2 energy to prevent this blight ability. Because right now, on each board, we're going to have to sacrifice presence, which I don't really want to do. It's going to have to either have to sacrifice this or this. I kind of don't want to run out of presence right now. So we said this Scarred and Stony land wasn't doing a whole pile for us anyway, and we're going to reclaim next turn anyway, so this will allow us to gather 1 in there. And we know neither of these 2 lands can come up on the Explorer, so the Explorer is either going to be wetlands or finally jungles. And if it's wetland, it can't be wetland actually, so it's going to either be it's going to be coast or it's going to be jungles. So I might let it go 1 time. Will I let it go 1 time? Scarred and Stony land. So this land is definitely exploring one way or another. This is hitting, as is this. It's just whether or not it escalates in that one or not. So that land is definitely exploring. I can't really do much about it, so it's not the end of the world. Yeah, so it would be nice to clear this out and give us the extra 2. So that's going to cost us what? So that would be 3. We'd have to pay 1 there. We'd have to pay 2 towards this. That's how all of that would work. And that puts us in a reclaim loop then, which is costing us 4 plus the 2 every turn, which is not awful. I think that's our reclaim loop for now. The following turn, of course, we have to swap in the sky stretches, but that's okay. We can do that as well. Okay, so this is our turn. It's giving us the 6 plus the 1 green, so okay, we're good. And then finally on the following turn we can reclaim to this, and then we can get the bottom half of this at some point as well, which is also not bad. And we have to place a presence, mountain or land with your presence. We don't need our presence in any of those lands, assuming we're going to carapace land in there. Nowhere better to carapace land, is there? No, because those are both getting solved. So let's just go ahead and move across the board. I think this is at range 3. Why don't we just go ahead and move over there at range 3? We might be able to do something with that land eventually. Help us out a little bit. Okay. So in here, infinite vitality, sorry, not that one, infinite vitality goes in there. This land targets 1 from where I have presence, gather you in there, and then I'm now going to have, so it's defend of 1, and then I'm going to put another defend of 1 in there. So this is now a defend of 2, and we might hit a defend card, defend per the hand, that helps us out there. So that gives us defend 2 in there. We triggered this, it's not going to trigger anywhere useful. So that's okay, because they're dealing damage to the land. So yeah, that's not going to matter. And then the other thing is we trigger all of this, so that's also all okay. And then on the other side of things, we've nothing. So let's go event card. Let's try to move this along here. Blighted Island. Sorry, at the beginning of this, each invader phase, we already said we're going to spend the 2, so that's going to go there, and then. And that's when an event or blight card directly destroys your presence or other presence. You can prevent it by paying 1 energy, so that's what I was doing. So then here it's when buildings ravage in a land. If no beasts are present, invaders do +2 damage total. Uh-oh. Otherwise, destroy a beast. And that is going to wreck us. That is going to absolutely wreck us. We got wrecked. Hit. This one was okay anyway. This one not, but this is now 4 extra blight on the board. Ouch. Okay, so plagues and populous lands on each board add disease to a land with 3 or more invaders. Okay, well that's, I guess, okay, at least 3 or more invaders. Where do we have 3 or more invaders? There, that'll get us an extra fear. And 3 or more invaders on this side of the board, that'll also get us an extra fear. Yeah. And then we have on each board, push up to 3 to hand from a land matching a ravage card to a land not matching a ravage card. Up to 3 to hand. This is actually the card that came up in our previous thing. So we can move lands from a land matching a ravage card. So we don't want to do that. Up to 3. And we're not going to do that in any board. So that's okay. So that one is gone. Now we really need help here to move these out of the way. So tier level 2. We've got our tier level 1. Each player may push a hand from a land with invaders or gather 1 hand into a land with invaders. When buildings ravage in a land. Okay, well then we're safe here. 1 and 1, so that's good. No issues. Gather up to 1. Then, if Dahan are present, either defend 1 per Dahan. So that happened at the time. So that's a thing that's checked at that moment. I'm just wondering whether this would let us move a Dahan in there and then stop that from blighting. Which it won't. We already have a thing in there where. Yeah, no, so Dahan defend. So this is now going to be ravaging for 4 + 2, 6. So it's going to be very hard to get a Dahan defend in there to prevent that from blighting. But a Dahan damage won't actually do it either. So I might... Each player may push, this is the first card, each player may push a Dahan and Hearten from a land with invaders. So I think I'm going to push you in there and give ourselves a chance at Dahan damage to stop that blighting. And then on the other side of the board, I can just get a free... You can do, for example, like this. So I definitely want to get that out of there in case that that explores jungles. So that solves that escalation, and I get a free kill in that land, which is quite nice. So I think that's it. Yeah. And then the second card is immigration slow. So during the next normal build, skip the lowest numbered land matching the invader card on each board. So it actually hurts me somehow here, which is kind of annoying. Okay, so let's go ahead and ravage. Over here, safe. Over here, dead. Over here, ravages for a bunch. No blight comes in, and then we attack back for 4 only. That's a pity. Yeah, maybe moving that in there was the play. Anyway, dead. That's 2 fear. And then down here, we are adding a blight. The hand don't get changed. This dies. That adds a disease. And then we attack back and kill all of these, which adds a fear. That's dead. Okay. That defend doesn't matter anymore. And then we have a mining rush, and we know that this can potentially go, so that's the safest land because these are the 2 that are at risk, so we just go into the middle in there. That's okay. Now we go build, and we said we skip the lowest land in each, so we actually skip this, and we said we wanted to skip this, so we have to remove that, and that gives us our... Well, actually, interestingly enough, now because we skipped this, the 4 damage from our Fire and Flood does solve this land. So now we can allow this build, because now we can do the 8 plus the 3, we can do 11 in here. So we can actually allow this to build now, which is quite nice. So we'll pay the 1, or we'll gain the 1, should I say. That builds. We just basically swap the order of the 2 lands, which ravage in there, which is quite good. So that builds. Over in here, we skip this because it's the lowest. Just double check that. Where is it? Skip the next normal. During the next, skip the lowest numbered land. Yeah, so we skip that one, but we do build up in this one. And we said in this case that we allowed that to build because we need our disease in there, and that generates 1 more fear for us. So we do hit finally tear level 3, albeit with quite some cities on the board, so that's going to take us a while to slog through this, but that's okay. So that's our build all done, and that's that effect done. And now we will flip this over, and it is coastal lands in the end. So we go 1, 1, 1, and we would have preferred jungles here, needless to say, because it would have been 1 less land, and they both contain as coastal jungle. So 1, 1, and 1. And now getting that disease in there, exactly what I said on the previous turn, moving in there, dying, getting the disease. Now we can solve that land with that disease. So I find that that's a pattern that comes up quite a bit with Vengeance, is you let most of your disease through for most of the game, but as you start to push a bit towards the end of the game, you start to aim towards a win condition, which we already said we have lined up with our Fire and Flood. You start to use the disease to kind of prevent what's going on and do things like this. So that's all okay. Slow phase, we've nothing over here, of course. Jagged shards, we do the Badlands. Excuse me. In here, I'm going to remove that. I'm going to push those 2 back in here, which is going to help us get some damage in that land next turn. So that's all okay as well. And we've done everything else. So these are all gone. Again, put them over there. Our energy, of course, is all gone as well. What's that one? We saved that one, didn't we? I just knocked that off accidentally. I just threw back, what, 4 in there. And that was 3 plus 1, that's 4. Yeah. So that didn't come off one of our cards here. So that I just knocked that off accidentally because, yeah, I had the 3. I spent the 2 here and then that one just got knocked. So that was in the bank. And then we are, of course, reclaiming with stone. We're in this reclaim loop pattern, as we said before. We will reclaim, gain all these cards back, go from the bottom track to give us an earth this time around, and we'll gain our 6 again, which is 3 plus 3 more. We'll go ahead and, well, you know, on an infinite vitality on the previous turn, we never removed blight from here. We talked about it, but we never did it. And that actually, would that have stopped the blight card flipping? No, it wouldn't. But yeah, we said it. We just didn't actually remove it, so that goes back on the card. Keep forgetting to do that, so apologies here, folks. I'm forgetting my triggers all over the place. But that again wouldn't have had any impact in the game. And we did say it was either that land or that land, but we did actually point that one out and say that one will be our choice. So we'll go infinite vitality 1, 2, 3. So 4 card plays here. Infinite vitality. This time we do need sky stretches to shore. So that's going to be 1, 2 over on that side of things. The Lands of Haunts and Embers as well. Oh no, I didn't do it last turn. I did something else. That was okay. Land of Haunts and Embers, though, I think on this turn is probably going to be pretty good. Yeah, it's going to solve that coastal jungle right about there. And this time we'll have the earth from the bottom track to let us hit this one over here. We don't need this. We can hit it potentially now, but we don't need it yet because we've no land ravaging that would particularly care. But I mean, it could solve that. Instead of doing the whole infinite vitality thing, I could have in theory used this in that land and then just, you know, done some other loop. But I think we're okay. I think we'll be fine. And what we'll do in this case is we will jagged shards. To get some of this back in here, maybe. Sorry, to get the hand back in there. So it's probably not a bad play. We don't need stubborn solidity. We don't need call to guard. Scarred and Stony is fine, but not doing anything super interesting for us. So yeah, this will either let us get those back in there, or we can maybe push those into there and maybe defend that land. That's another option. So I think this is fine. These are going to be our 4 card plays from stone, and that again is going to be that 4 cost that I mentioned plus 2 down here, because we're hitting again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we still hit that and we can prevent those. We also have this, which actually will matter in here. So how does this work? So yeah, so this still deals damage to the land. Whenever blight will be added to the land, leave it on the card. So it stops blight getting added, but they still do deal damage into the land. And then, of course, I get to do this, remove stuff from an adjacent land or that land if I want to. So they will still deal damage in that land, which will work. So our let them break themselves against the stone is actually going to go in there, and that's going to work. So some of the Dahan will fight back, and then I'll also get to deal damage, which is quite good too. So that's all okay. We're done on that side of things. We know what we're doing on this side. We're reclaiming, which is going to give us 5 energy. 3 plus 2. And a 0 cost here would be nice, because we could potentially play it with the Fire and Flood and the Strike Low. So let's go ahead and look for a minor power. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Goals allure. Nice elements. Definitely interested. Fested Aquifers, Absorb Corruption, and Song of Sanctity. I think I'm going to go ahead and do a nice Goals Allure there because it potentially solves one of these lands over here as well. Easy choice, don't need to think about it. So we've got Goals Allure, Strike Low, and Fire and Flood. That's going to cost us 9. Put the other cards in our hand. We had this planned already, so this is nice and easy. 7 plus 2 over here, and we've also got a couple of nice elements going on this time around too. So we've got 1, 2, 3 animal, so that's just the first level of this. But we have on this side of the board 1, 2, 3, 4 fire plus 2 animal, which gives us the second level of this, which is quite nice, and that lets us kill a city potentially, maybe in that land, or maybe up here as well. So we're good to go on that front. All good. So where are we dealing damage? Where are we dealing things? So we know anyway. Easy stuff. Give you a slow to fast. Over here, we've got range 1 and range 2 from a sacred site, 2 different lands. There's our sacred site, that's at range 1, that's at range 2. This is fast, and we hit one of the thresholds, so we can hit 8 plus 4. So we're going to go ahead and do that. 4 in here kills the 2 of them, plus that, because we've got our Badlands. And then 8 over here deals 11 damage, which clearly kills all of this. That's all dead, and that deals us 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 fear. 3, 4, 5, 6 fear. Pretty nice. What else do we have? We've got 1 fear, Invader, Skip, Ravage actions up here. So that's 1 more fear. Can we hit 1 more to hit another Terror level 2, another Terror level 2 card? And we can. So on this card, it's 2 fear, which gives us another card. And we get to push up to 2 things and add a blight. So we'll add a blight in that land, and we'll push the 2 of these, and we'll push them in there because that's all going to get cleared in the Ravage. So that's quite beautiful. And then obviously here, Infinite Vitality goes in this land, and it says I can remove a blight from an adjacent land or that land, and I'll remove a blight from, I guess, that one, just in case there's any kind of edge casing going on there. We're not adding blight in here, so that won't matter. So yeah, let's go ahead and move that one. Put it straight back on the blight, or straight back on the card, which should work well. That's slow. This is fast. This is fast. These are slow, but this is fast. So now I have 1 damage. I can solve, for example, that land. Anything else I can do here? I'm just thinking about with the Goals Allure, so that gathers into a mountain. So I could, for example, gather into this mountain. We talked about before using the jagged shards and pushing that in there. So letting the mountain build up is probably not awful. So if I let that build and I gather the 2 of them in there, that all goes into that mountain, and that works fairly nicely. So what I can do in this case is I can deal damage in this land and start to get rid of those cities. So 1 damage per disease plus Badlands, so that's 5 in there, and that goes bam, bam. That's another 3 fear. So that was pretty nice as well, and we can do something like that up there later on. Maybe I don't know exactly how we're going to go about clearing those ones, but that's maybe a fire and flood problem for later. So that's getting rid of another city there, and then this is potentially a city from there. So we're nearly there in terms of cleaning all the cities on the island. Just need to get enough fear to do it. We do have new species spread coming up, and do we have anything to pitch to it now? Still no. I think we've got Lands of Haunted Embers actually. And we've got Scarred and Stony, so I might go ahead and do that this time. We'll see. Okay, so that is all of that. We'll take a little wee drink and move swiftly on. Here's the new species. So that's done. So now we can do the thing, we would start adding blight to lands with things. Now the one thing is we already have a land in here that we can do that in for free because it won't get added. So that's one thing which is quite nice. The other board then we'd have to do it, and we would choose a land, and we can choose, oh, I never placed my presents, look at that. So in this case, what I would have done with that, keep forgetting things, sorry guys. So we knew this was coming up, so we could have placed this in here, and that would allow us to place, no, it won't allow us to place a blight in there and pay the thing and protect our stuff, so that wouldn't matter, but I'd probably still put it in there anyway. Placing it in here, what does that do for me? That would allow me to do that thing where I built everything up on that land and then use my let them break themselves against the stone ability in their next turn, which probably isn't awful. So that's probably better. So I would have placed that in there. So now what I can do is, if I let the thing happen, the top ability happen here, I would choose this land clearly because it's free, and then over here I'd place one in here, which would kill one of my things, and it would give me a bad lands, and it would give me a disease. Otherwise, I'd have to pitch 2 cards. I'd have to pitch Lands of Haunted Embers and Scarred and Stony Land to pay for this, which mightn't be terrible. And what does that do for me? It gives me 1 fear per player, and then I get to add some beasts on the board. Like if I do the top thing here, I could just miss on the other board as well. So on half of the boards, rounding up. So again, we do this in 1 land. We add a disease to a land with both Dahan and invaders and deal 2 damage to Dahan there. So this is one of them oddball cases where this board actually doesn't have a target. So when you choose half of the boards, rounding up, could I choose this board and not do it? In this case, I have an answer, because in this case, I want to do probably up there and just give myself the extra disease. We don't care about that to hand, so I'd probably just go ahead and do that up there. So kill that and give myself an extra disease in that land. That'll help me kill those cities later on. So that's that. And then we have the energy gain wouldn't actually trigger for me for vengeance if I do that play, which is funny. And I could need that energy. So, so of course you can read this top to bottom, so I'm going to undo that because I need that energy. I only have 2 total Dahan among my lands, so I want to gain that 1 energy. So I could oh no, I lied, yeah, I could just do that there, couldn't I? I said there's no land on this board, but there clearly is. There's 1 land right there, I just missed that. So in this case I could go in there and just kill that single Dahan, which is not the end of the world. It's not doing much for us as a single Dahan. So that's probably where I go and just kill that, which is what I do there. Could also, of course, do it on this board, but I'd quite like to prevent that build. Oh no, I'm not even preventing the build. I'm pulling those 2 things in with that, haven't I? Yeah. So that's okay. So no, I'm going to do it like that. So that'll be that one. The other thing will be we gain an energy each, because stone, of course, has 2 things. So that'll be 1 energy each. And then it's a question of, do I do the top or the bottom part here? I think I'll just go ahead and do the bottom part, add some beasts on the board, generate a couple of extra fear, which pushes me towards the win condition, and then I pitch Scarred and Stony and Lands of Haunts and Embers. The thing about Lands of Haunts and Embers is it can potentially help me once I start hitting these 3 lands. Yes, it adds a blight, but it just solves other problems for me down the line. Potentially stops some builds and things happening, so no. No, I'm not going to pay for it. I'm going to do the top thing. So for each board, discard the top minor pair. Start this one. Let's hit the fast on this one because we can get away with it. Slow. This board will be the fast again, of course, won't it? Yes, of course it is. So I hit it the wrong way around. So I have to add the blight on this board to a land with buildings. Goes in there. That gets destroyed. And we add a disease. And then we do the rest of this. So this will be 2 cards down, and it probably won't really come up for the rest of the game. So that one goes back to there. And then we go ahead and we resolve our 2 fear cards. These are both at level 2 this time. So we have retreat. Each player may push up to 3 buildings from an inland land. Up to 3 things from an inland land. I say up to 3 buildings. It's 3 explorers / towns from an inland land. So I can push, for example, those 3 in there, or I can push that in there because we know this land is about to do something. So I could do that twice, which might be just a good idea. So let's go ahead and do that. So push those 3 in there. And I'm just going to essentially get to clear this whole land. And then from here, I'll push that in there. That works pretty well. We both did that. They're both 2 inland lands. We both pushed those things in there. This land we already said we need to sort of solve anyway by itself, so we'll just leave that as it is. It's skipping the ravage, so that's okay. And then the other thing is on each board, gather up to 3 towns or explorers from a single land into a land with 2 or more invaders. Into a land with 2 or more invaders. So I can do, for example, 1 in there, and then I can go 1 in there, and that, you know, I don't have to waste that disease then. That's okay as well. So it sort of cleans some of that up. Yeah, sure, it's fine. Okay, let's go ravage. Safe, skip, and then here. This is where we go. Deal a ton of damage to the land. No blight gets added. We already did our remove, of course, from this before. So no blight gets added. The hand don't get damaged. 2 things happen. The hand attack back for 4, and then I also attack back for half of the damage the invaders did, rounding down, +2. So basically they're dealing 3, 6, 9, 12, +5 is 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24. They're dealing 24 damage. I get to deal half of that is 12, +2, which is from here, 14, +4 from the hand. Deal 16 damage in this land, and that should clear that if I'm not mistaken. So 16 damage into this land will be 3 + 8 is 11. Actually, it won't clear the land, so that's 3 + 8 is 11. 12, 13, 14, 15. What did we say? It was 16? Yeah. 16? No, because it was 12 + 2 is 4, +4 is 18. So I actually get to kill exactly every single thing. Yeah, so they did 24 damage. Half of that is 12. +2 is 14, +4 is 18, and that was 18. And that generated us 6 fear. So that's a nice little combo right there. 6 fear. Let's get it done. We're pushing as fast as we can to the finish line. So 6 fear looks like that. With another fear card, that's that one clear. We had to pay that at the beginning of the thing. I forgot, so I just left it there to pay that one. Otherwise, the rest of the ravage is okay. Now we go build. So let's pick up our things here, and we're gonna go build. And we'll let that through. So that's a fear to let that build. And then on this side of the board, it's no, and then build here. We'll let that through as well. That's another fear. Okay, we're done on that, and then we go explore mountains and wetlands. So up here we almost had this pocketed, but we didn't. So that's going to go explore. That's going to explore. That's going to explore, and that's going to explore. Now on this side of the board, we don't have a source for this land, so that doesn't explore. No, we do. It's right next to it, so that does explore. Adjacent jungle there, that explores. This explores. This explores. And our wetlands, our famous wetlands up at the top, explores again. Okay. And there's no escalations or anything here. So that's all good to go. So now we have a mountain. And we can gather stuff into a mountain here. So we can gather one town and one explorer. So for example, if I gather that town and I gather an explorer, so for example from there, that solves this build as well as this ravage. Yes, this can ravage, and it can edge case us, and maybe we just want to be careful about the edge case right now and make sure that we don't hit some nasty blight situation over there. So maybe that's just what we go ahead and do. It's just this does give us a free attack to clear that, but maybe I'm just getting greedy on that front. So just one less building, you know. So I think I'm going to get greedy, because we also potentially have a Dahan defend for that one. If we get edge case, we might also counter it with a fear card. So I'm going to get greedy. I'm going to pull in there, and I'm going to pull that building in there. So that's the Gold's Allure. I can also add a what do you call it? A strife in there, which probably won't matter, but maybe it does. I have to anyway. And then the other thing I do then on this board is I can go with my jagged shards. So this is going to ravage, and then it's going to build. But I think I'm just going to do my let them break themselves against the stone and that to clear the land on the reclaim, which should be okay. So in that case then I just do, I guess, push this in here and then place a Badlands in this land. So then we don't necessarily have to infinite vitality again, because now we can get away with a different card to solve that land. So we don't necessarily have to reclaim loop now. Now we can maybe break out of it just a tiny bit, which might be okay. We also have on this side of the board, we have 3 damage now, which, if we destroy this, how close are we? We're now this close, which is, if I destroy that city, that would be 2 fear, and it'd be 10 fear away, assuming I got rid of the 2 cities. So the 2 cities is 4, so I need to generate 6 more fear. How do I destroy these 2 cities and generate 6 fear in the fast phase? Next turn, I've got to be able to do that, right? So Fiery Vengeance, I'm already in the land, so that's 2 2 damage already because I've got a blight in there, so I just need to generate 4 more damage in that land, and surely with my innate I can do it. So that's got to be it, right? Yeah, that's got to win the game. So let's go ahead and do that. So in here we do 3 damage in this land. We kill this. That's 2 more fear. We've already done it. That's gone. We've done all our abilities, and I'm pretty sure we have this deterministic win right now. There you go. These all go. I can even reclaim a Sky Stretches if I need a fast power, but I don't think I do. So what I'm doing right here then is, in this case, I just need to be able to play these 3 cards. So let's just throw them down there and just look at let's look at our, what's the word I'm looking for here, our elements. So what we'd like to hit actually is, +1 damage per disease. So that would give us 2 damage per disease. So I don't have... Yeah, maybe we get spicy here. If we go G3 and place a disease in that land, still leave us short. Because we can go Fiery Vengeance in there, that deals... Did we throw away the Lands of Haunts and Embers? We didn't. I think Lands of Haunts and Embers gives it to us. I think we have a combo. So we've got 2 blight in this land. Sorry, 2 presence in this land. What we do in this case is, I'm pretty sure if we reclaim and we get back the Lands of Haunts and Embers, that's the only card that we need. Let me just double check this. So if I land a Haunts and Embers at range 2 into that land, I can generate 2 fear, which gives us another fear card, and it puts us 8 fear away. But we still need to kill the two cities, but that puts another blight in the land. Now that there's 2 blight in that land, our Fiery Vengeance deals 3, and our Epidemics Run Rampant deals 3 as well. So let's just go ahead and just do that right now to show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to reclaim, play Lands of Haunts and Embers. It's the only card that I need to play. On Vengeance's side, we can do some playing with our food stuff if we want to. We can add a disease instead of a presence, which is just a little bit of flair at the end of the game. Let's go ahead and add a disease in there because it's fun to use that ability every now and then. We can gain a power card, but we don't have to. We can also gain an energy, but we don't have to. We're going to gain 5 energy basically, but all we actually really need is 1. So 1 plus the 1 that we have in there. That now gives us 3 card plays, which we have off the bottom track. So on stone side of the board, you can go range 2 into that land, play Lands of Haunts and Embers, and you can deal 2 fear. That goes to there. Yeah, just confirming. We now, if the land has disease, or if the land has blight, we deal another 2 fear, and we can push a whole bunch of stuff out of the land. Push up to, it doesn't matter, we don't need to push anything else. What we do need to do is place a blight, plus a blight cascade in there. That kills 1 of these, and actually that's even more flair because that dies and another disease goes into the land. And now... Epidemics Run Rampant. On this side is a fast power. I get to deal, I have 1 animal plus 2, so I can hit the first level of it. I get to deal 1 damage per disease, which is 1, 2, 3, and then I have 2 Badlands in there, which is 4, 5, so I get to deal 5 damage into that land. I also get the Fiery Vengeance in there, removing 1 of those from the game, and that's another 3 damage, so I can deal 8 damage in that land, which kills 2 cities and a thing, and that's 2, 4, 5 fear. Really? Did I make a mess of this? Well, I didn't because I know how to solve the mess, but I really thought I had enough, but that's okay. It's okay because I can, so it's 5 fear plus 3. 5 damage plus 3, which is 8 damage. So that's 3, 6, 8. Yeah, so that's that. That's 5 fear, which is 3, 4, 5. So I'm actually 1 short, but I do have a way to generate the 1, which is to pick up Sky Stretches and use that as one of my other card plays. I've got 6 energy. I've got loads of energy. And if I play that, I now get to use Target Spirit may use 1 slow power as if it were fast. And I can give any of these 2 slows. Give that fast, which generates my final fear. It goes there. Terror level 2. Terror level 3, should I say. And there are no more cities on the board. So we... we finally got there. Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, spirits of all ages. You can probably tell my voice is almost gone at this point. Which is okay. We got there and we got a nice win. Little bit of a struggle at 1 or 2 stages early on in the game, especially when we hit that when we hit the mountain. On mountain it was starting to look a tiny bit hairy, but we sort of got some stuff together. Clearly here, Infinite Vitality was an MVP, despite me making a whole mess of that card a whole bunch of times. It did really nice work on that side of the board, just to be able to kind of clear out and sort of, counter attack. So, I talked about before the Sweden being defend being weak into Sweden, and I mentioned that in the previous episode, and we saw here a lot of very defensive abilities, which clearly we saw some skips. We saw Infinite Vitality as a skip. We saw the call of the call to trade. Is that what you call it? Wherever call to one of the call to anyway. We both the call to, didn't we? We had the call to guard and the call to trade. So we had lots of defensive stuff going on. We even hit a carapace land. We used stubborn solidity, so we did lots of defensive stuff, which worked well. And then I'm really glad that this early on in my in my journey through the BlunderSpeaker Show, I got to let Fire and Flood shine, because as I say, I love this card. It's one of my early kind of, whoa, what the hell is this? That's an amazing card kind of experiences in this game, which is why we play this game. We play it for those kind of moments. And as I say, despite the fact that this is a pretty quote-unquote low-tier card, and it certainly is, I don't think probably many people would argue with that. It's very expensive, but goddamn, it deals some damage. And in this game, we saw it really, really shine. It got 2 big hits in, solved 2 big heavy lands over there, and I was really nice with Vengeance really getting to use all of this blight. So that's kind of how I drew this up, to be honest. I was thinking it was going to be a game where we would use Stone's ability to kind of keep the blight on the blight card while we loaded up a bunch of blight on the land, and then get Vengeance to kind of just go across the land and just wreak havoc and get the vengeance back on the invader. So it's exactly how I thought it would go, albeit with some sort of quirks and tweaks along the way. But really enjoyed that game. I probably won't talk for about 2 days after this, but that's okay. I'll get this one up hopefully on Sunday. We do have a big storm coming over in Ireland right now, and if anybody knows anything about our ability to deal with bad weather in this country, it's non-existent. So assuming I have power during the next few days, I'll be getting this one edited up and get all the sort of polish and everything else on it. As they say, you can polish a pig, or maybe you can't, but that's for another day for us to figure out. But in the meantime, really appreciate you hanging out. Thanks so much for sticking with me, and I hope my voice comes across okay in this session. Hopefully I'll be set up better for next time. But in the meantime, check it out, leave some comments, get involved, let me know what you thought about the game, let me know what you think about the setup, and as I said last time, if you've got any cool stories, you got any inputs, you got any guides or advice or anything like that for everybody, let's get involved in the community and chat about Sweden, because I'd really love to hear what you have to say. That's it for me today. We'll see you next time. Appreciate you hanging out. Take it easy.